boom. And just like that, we're live. And so, yeah, I just walked in your house and was saying, like, we got to chill out on the conversation.
Yeah, I know.
Because we're already burning through a bunch of good shit.
Yeah, we're getting caught up.
But I don't even know if you listen to the podcast or not, but how I do it, there's no notes. I don't have fucking questions.
Yeah.
We just sit down and bullshit.
Yeah.
And you got a cool story. We got connected through, we went out to Ian Smith's the Attilas thing out there.
Yep.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, dude, that was incredible.
And awesome for networking more than anything.
Yeah. I don't know if we remember talking about this, but how many influential, like crazy people were in Belmar, New Jersey for 2 days? Like, that was crazy.
And I mean, here's the deal. If you support Ian Smith, we're the same. We're on the same team.
Yep, for sure.
And when you have hundreds of people together that are on the same team, it's fucking powerful, dude.
Oh, it was crazy.
You know, and then by chance we did, were you and Emily like at the same hotel? Is that how we
no, Emily, no, I just knew Emily. And so we just decided, I was with Bobby. I was with, or no, who was I with that time? I don't think Bobby was out there. Who was I with? I was with my video guy. It was just me and my video guy, and Emily was staying at a different hotel, but I'm friends with Emily and Jason. And so I think what happened was we just all decided to go to breakfast that morning. Okay. And then I think she was like, hey, Greg and Mitch are going to come. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool, man.
That's kind of how it went.
And then, like, hearing a little bit of your story. And the cool thing about, like, the last couple of years of my life is networking with people that are from a completely different background, completely different path. Yeah. And seeing what you're doing with Patriot and, like, as an entrepreneur, building a brand, that's the kind of stuff that I'm interested in now. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, I can shoot guns and fight. Right. Half or 90% of my friends are fighters and military guys and cops. And it's like, and I'm not taking anything away from that. Right. But man, to grow and expand, like, you have to expand your network and you have to surround yourself with people that understand the shit that you're looking to get into. For sure. And that's why my wife's like, you need to go down there, because she does all our t-shirts, right? Yeah. And she's like, you need to pick his brain. I want to put a list of questions together and shit. And I was like, well, we're just podcasting this time. We'll come back and bring the family or something.
Dude, anytime. I mean, you can ask me any question you want, bro. I am an open book. Look, here's the thing, man. There's plenty to go around. And my thing is, like, I don't know. There's a lot of people that operate on this, like, scarcity mindset where it's like, I'm not going to share my secrets with you or whatever. And it's like, why? Yeah. Like, that's how we win. You know what I mean? That's literally how we win, is if all of us are doing awesome stuff. And, you know, you could say that we're doing clothing and it's a lot of the same stuff, and so we are competitors or whatever, but we're not. Like, that, people can't wear the same t-shirt every single, I mean, they could, but like most people are not going to wear the same t-shirt or the same things every single day. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, and dude, like we were talking before we started recording about my partnership with Vortex. Yeah. And when I went out there and met with Seamus Terry, who's the president. Yeah. He said the same thing. He's like, dude, companies like Leupold and Trigicon, he goes, guess what having those guys in as competitors in the market does for me? He goes, 1 year, we're going to come out with a product that beats them. And he goes, and then a couple years later, they're going to come out with a product that beats us. And it forces us to continuously do this. Yeah. And then the end result is the consumers are getting something up here, as opposed to if we didn't have tough competitors putting out good shit, everyone would have been content down here. That's right. And it's like, and Andy, who you are also friends with, Andy Frisella, he talks about it all the time. He goes, I want to see my competitors win. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And,
and there's something interesting to that too. It's like the scarcity versus abundance mindset is a very real thing. Like, whether you know, the law of the harvest or whatever it is, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God and you believe in good energy or just whatever in general, what you put out, you get. And I'm not just talking about what you give materially. Like, that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. And that's the thing that, you know, Andy's constantly harping on, which is super, super important. It's like, the energy that you put out is what you get back. And so if you're constantly guarding your secrets, and like, if you're constantly holding on to all the things that you're building because you don't want anyone to take it, like if you're holding on to your pizza pie because you don't want anyone else to have a slice, bro, you're going to starve. Yeah. You're going to end up with just that pizza. But if you constantly are giving that, that advice and anything you can to other people to help them win, you're going to be absolutely filthy rich in every single way.
Dude, and obviously I'm not going to say any names, but I've seen some people that I am close with, like, fuck these guys, fuck those guys. And then what you find as a result is they burn in themselves.
100%. Every single time. People don't get it, man. Like, it's a real thing. And I have always been, I shouldn't even say always, because I have not always. This is definitely something I've had to learn throughout my life in business and marketing and everything. But I have 100% gotten to the point now where I understand, like, the more that I share, the more that I give, the more that I'm freely trying my best to help everyone around me win, no matter if they're a competitor or not, it's only going to make me win more.
And then another thing that it does is, like, not only what it does for you financially or with the growth of your business, just the energy you're holding in your heart.
Yeah.
If you're holding, because, dude, I just completed 75 hard, and doing that program, I appreciate it, dude.
Hats off, bro.
Dude, doing that program forced me to read a bunch of books that I wouldn't have read otherwise. I read Emotional Intelligence. I read The Compound Effect. I read The Urban Monk. And all of these books are teaching me little tiny things about how putting the right energy into things over a long period of time, especially the compound effect, right? You put the right energy over a sustained period of time, it is inevitable that you're building something that's based in love and based in, like, passion.
And people can feel that, dude. Like, when I'm around you, you know what I mean? Like, even just from when you got here, like, when I'm around you, you can feel a good energy. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is a guy I want to be around. This is a guy I want to hang out with. It's not like, I know other people in my life. I won't name names either, but, like, when I'm around them, I'm like, man, you just hate life.
An energy vampire.
Like, you just hate life, bro. Like, you can tell that, everything that comes your way, good or bad, like, you are not embracing it for what it is. And you're, these people are the ones that are just constantly looking for a reason to be pissed. And it's like, dude, yeah, life sucks sometimes, but, like, what's the difference between you and the guys that have the same trials and they go through the same garbage? I genuinely think it's the difference of this mindset of, like, how many times in your life have you been told, oh, tomorrow's a new day?
Yeah.
Right? Who the hell wrote that?
Yeah, exactly.
Who wrote that rule? Who came out and said, yo, my day sucks.
Fuck today.
Yeah, I've had a terrible day and it's 5 p.m. And so I'm just going to, screw the rest of the day. Like, I'll wait till tomorrow to have a good day. It's like,
dude,
it's the most asinine thing.
Bro, my drive down here yesterday, I was just telling you, it was 7 hours.
Yeah.
And I listened to 2 books. I finished up one called Hard Times Create Strong Men.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Which was a good book.
I'll have to check that one out.
And I don't agree with everything. He said some stuff that was like, what the fuck, dude? But guess what? That's part of being human.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with everything.
The second book, but it was a good book overall.
Yeah.
The second book was called The Obstacle is the Way.
Oh, I've read that one. That's a great book.
And it talked a lot about Marcus Aurelius meditations, which I downloaded, and I'll be listening to here momentarily when I drive home.
Do you have the Daily Stoic?
No.
You need to get it.
Okay.
The Daily Stoic, and there's a journal that goes with it. I don't know if you like journaling, but there's
Bro, it's something that needs to start happening.
Okay, so the Daily Stoic, and then they have the Daily Stoic journal, and each page is a different, like, theory or just something from some of the greatest Stoics in the world and in the history of the world. And then they have a page in the journal that coincides with that thought, and it makes you write down your thoughts or, like, your experiences to basically kind of better understand what that theory was getting at.
Okay.
It's awesome.
So, dude, check this out. Like, I'm listening to The Obstacle is the Way, and it's telling the story about Marcus Aurelius when he was betrayed by, like, one of his top generals, and he wanted to basically overthrow him and have a coup and take over power.
Yeah.
And Marcus Aurelius had him arrested, and everybody was calling for his head. Behead everyone in the Senate. He needs to be publicly executed. Yep. And he said, actually, this is an opportunity to show the people of Rome what forgiveness looks like.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, whoa, And then he says, don't look at scenarios that you face in life as good or bad, because that's putting your emotions on them. Right? It's how you perceive those scenarios, and then how you allow yourself to feel, and then how you allow yourself to act.
Well, and even going a step further than that, I think what happens when people do that, when people allow those experiences to kind of shape the way they think and look and everything, like they're how can I put this? They're metaphorically like putting on glasses, right? They're creating this lens that they now see the world from in every situation, no matter what experience it is. And so if you're constantly seeing the world from a point, for example, of, I'm not, I don't have good luck. Like, let's just say something simple like that. Like, a lot of people are like, I have terrible luck, right? How many times have you heard somebody say that?
They're the must be nice people.
Yeah, exactly. They don't even realize it though, but they're literally creating a lens that they're wearing those sunglasses at all times.
Yep.
And everything that happens to them, because that's how they think, right? That's how they're seeing it is, it's because I don't have good luck. It's because I don't have good luck. It's because, and sure enough, 20 years later, it's like your life is full of experiences that are shitty.
Yeah.
Like,
and bro,
and you manifested it.
And dude, like coming from the military and law enforcement, I mean, I did 20 years of government service.
Yeah.
And everybody looks at those professions as like honorable and the men and women are strong and powerful. And I'm here to tell you, it's full of good men and women, but it's full of good men and women that are stuck in a toxic rut. And a lot of people in those professions are in a dark place.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of like discontent. And over the last 24 months, as I finally broke out of that shell and I'm starting to pursue some different avenues, and I'm realizing like, I have the ability to choose how I feel. And I know it took me 40 years to realize that. Like my goal for September, and I was talking to my wife about this yesterday on the drive down here, I'm going to try and not get angry one time in the month of September. And bro, for me, that's going to be a challenge because if someone cuts me off in traffic, I'm like, hey, motherfucker, are you fucking retarded? Fuck you,
Yeah.
And then like literally just listening to these books and reflecting about like great men that came before me, how they handle different situations. What am I doing that has any type of beneficial outcome by getting angry at someone on the road?
Yeah. Who does it help?
The truth is it's zero because it could incite a conflict that could hurt me or hurt him, right? Does that person deserve to get hurt because he cut me off? Probably not.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? And then not only like the potential for conflict, but the energy that I put in my heart because somebody cut me off.
Yep.
It's not self-serving, it's self-sabotaging.
Yes, in every way.
And so that's September's challenge, man.
You need to read the Daily Stoic during this month of September.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
I'll do it.
It'll be an amazing book to go along with that goal because that's all it's about. It's literally just about seeing the world from different perspectives and like really taking a step back with stuff. But I think that actually is a super interesting point because, I don't know anything about the military. I don't have any experience there at all, but what I have kind of observed is, now that I've made friendships with a lot of men and women in the military now. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because you have the ones that are kind of just low key and like do their thing. And then you have the ones that kind of go more of like the influencer, like business guru route and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's so interesting to me though, is those guys are hated so hard by the other guys. And I've always wondered why that is the case. Like when these guys that have been in the military and dedicated their life to serving us for, 20 years finally decide, you know what, I want to write a book or you know what, I want to build a business and I want to use my social media platform to create a brand for myself. Again, I'm speaking from zero experience, but just from what you just said, it kind of gave me a little bit more clarity, I think, because you have all these people in the military that you're talking about come from a dark place, which, by the way, I don't necessarily think that's such a terrible thing in some ways because, again, I have no experience whatsoever, but I would imagine that you need a very dark place to be able to do the things these guys do.
No, yeah, there's a lot of layers to be peeled back on that. Because on one hand, like, you can't be 100% in touch with your emotions and watch kids being killed on the streets of Ramadi. I have to compartmentalize
you have to
that
be able to
shit.
Detach from it.
Yeah. But detaching from your emotions, that opens up Pandora's box, right? And then that's like you see in the military. And I'm not even like everybody that listens to this show knows I love our servicemen and women.
Yeah.
But it's also a lie if you don't say, hey, is there massive amounts of alcohol abuse inside the military? Is there massive amounts of domestic abuse inside the military? Like, and it's all of those different things just like I said, the compound effect.
It comes from what you're talking about.
The compound effect can work the other way too.
Right.
If you feed yourself negative energy over a long period of time, it beats you down.
For sure.
You know? But dude, I see that exactly what you're talking about. Like, I've become friends with Andy Stump. I was actually up there doing Cleared Hot yesterday.
Yeah.
And he showed me he's building.
Andy's one of the Black Rifle guys, right?
He is now. He started with the Cleared Hot podcasts. He was a Navy SEAL that did a career in the Navy, got out. He's also a professional skydiver, wingsuit flyer.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
now. Okay.
He set like world records in his wingsuit.
The only guy that I know that I've met from Black Rifle so far is Derek Carter. Okay. And I don't think he's like high up or anything. I think he's just kind of like an influencer. But dude, Derek's such a good dude. Salt of the earth.
But fucking Andy is building Black Rifle Kalispell now.
Oh.
And it's opening in February.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's been a long process. And we went and walked through it. He showed me the fucking, like the layout, the facility and everything. And it's cool as fuck, dude.
My buddy Neil, I don't know if you know Neil Curry. He just opened up the Black Rifle in Spanish Fork, Utah.
Okay.
It's cool, man. That's what I'm saying, though. It's cool to see these guys like going out and building something, creating something. And it's like, the amount of hate that I see them get.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. To your point,
it comes from that.
Because I've hung out with Evan Hafer, and I did his podcast, and we spent a day together down at the Black Rifle headquarters. And bro, my inbox is filled up with people that should be on our team. They're like, "Why are you fucking hanging out with Evan Hafer? I fucking hate that guy." And it's like, bro, if you hate Evan Hafer, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, I read this article where he said," and it's like, okay. You're taking one statement from somebody that may or may not be out of context. Yeah. But regardless, even if you are in disagreement, like he's a good fucking person.
Which, by the way, this is probably coming from somebody who's constantly posting on social media about how they can't trust the media.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet now they're reading these articles and they're like, "Oh, but that one."
And then every time I hang out with Andy Stump, I'll get messages. Yeah. And they're like, "Do you know that Andy Stump said this about a red flag law, and you'll be friends with that guy?"
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is I was talking to him about that yesterday off air. I was like, bro, every time we hang out, I'm going to get a little bit of hate. And I said, yeah, like I got hate about something you said about a red flag law. And he goes, I literally don't even know what you're talking about. He goes, I love guns. Yeah. And he goes, and I love Americans having the right to keep and bear arms. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so it's like, the thing that people need to remember is there's 2 points that I like to reiterate. A, if you have a podcast that's at the level of Cleared Hot, there might be at some point in time something where he says one sentence that you might be able to scrutinize. The other side of it is, and even if he didn't misspeak or speak out of step, maybe he does believe something a little differently than you. Guys, like, they want us to eat our own. Yeah. Like, there's a real evilness in our country right now. There is an enemy 100%. That we need to fucking unify against. And it's not someone that thinks on one little detail. That's right. Something should be a little different than what you think that detail should be.
Dude, that's, I mean, you know this. We've been friends for over a year now. Yeah. And you follow me and stuff. And this is my message. All the time, this is why I built Patriot Gear. It's like, dude, we are losing a war, and we are in a war right now, but we are losing this war just by eating ourselves alive. And our enemies don't have to fire a single shot. And it's like, people have to start realizing, and again, what you're saying is totally makes sense, because all these people that just have nothing but hate and negativity and like the desire to tear other people down so that they don't feel so low. That's all being directed at these people that are actually building businesses and creating movements and doing things that are giving the American people hope, and not only giving the American people hope, but making America look like it's supposed to look, where it's supposed to be full of thriving entrepreneurs, where we're supposed to be innovative. Like, what the hell happened to being okay with Americans standing up and building awesome stuff? It's like, that's what we need to get back to.
It's an attack on success.
Dude.
And there's an attack on success of your physical body. Yeah. There's an attack on success of like your emotional well-being.
For sure.
There's an attack on success on your financial well-being. Yeah. Like I listened to one of Andy's podcasts for Sella a week or two ago, and that was the whole point of the show. He's like, winning financially should feel good, and it should be celebrated, and you should seek that.
It was the money, mo money, better problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I read that one. Or I listened to that one too.
At some point, the losers of society have perpetuated that since they can't win, winning is bad.
Sure.
Right.
And now it's become a mainstream thing. And it's not only is it creating that, but it's like you said, like, let's go back really quick to this, because I think it's such an important point. This is actually, I'm actually going on the Citizen in a couple weeks, and this is going to be the topic, is talking about the fact that, like, dude, we have to figure out a way to get unified. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I say this all the time, so people that know me are going to think it's a broken record, but I don't care, because I think it's such an important message.
Well, it's your first time on my show, so.
Well, dude, so here's the thing. I genuinely think that what we're up against right now is a battle of good and evil. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth. And I know that sounds cliche, but let me break it down a little bit better than that. The evil, like, dude, you're very familiar with evil.
Yeah.
Evil is not, you don't negotiate with evil. There's nothing you can say to change evil. It's evil. That's it. Period.
You stomp it out.
You stomp it out in every single way, and you do everything you can to completely reject it, right? But then you have good. And what I think people are forgetting right now and not getting is the fact that in that good is all of us. Let's just talk about America in general. In America, the good is full of black, white, gay, straight, Asian, Christian, transgender, freaking atheist. I mean, Democrat, Republican, liberal, like everyone. It's full of all of us. But the thing that divides us in that good is awareness of the evil, awareness of who the evil is, what the evil is, and what they're trying to accomplish. And the interesting thing is, once the people in that good, once they realize that, once that awareness is broken, then it's like, oh, wait, so just because you want to have pink hair and call yourself a lizard on Wednesday, you're not my enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, cool, do your thing.
And here's the thing I say to people often, and I can look at you and say, man, that's a weird choice to live.
But you know what? They're going to say the same thing about you.
And that's a strange person to me. That doesn't mean I hate you.
No.
Like, if you're, and even like, and you can't say this on your podcast, like being gay, like the choice to be gay, or if you were born gay, to me, it's a moot point, right?
Yeah.
If that's the lifestyle you choose, when I look at that lifestyle, I think, man, I could never, that's so far opposite of how I choose to live, or what causes sexual desire inside of my body.
Right.
I have gay friends. Like, just because I think it's strange and complete opposite how I would ever choose to live, it doesn't mean that we have a fucking problem with it. And everybody has to like tiptoe around and walk on eggshells on all these things. And it's like, guys, here's the reality of planet Earth. We're not all equal. We're not all the same. Mm-hmm. We're very different. Mm-hmm. Celebrate the differences.
That's what makes life beautiful. Just imagine for a second that all of us were the exact same.
Yeah. Hanging out with fucking 300 million Greg Andersons. That wouldn't be very fun.
or 300 million Ians. Like, good hell, dude.
Yeah.
But that's what makes the world such an incredible place. But it's like we are so mentally and emotionally infiltrated by evil, by the ones that are actually evil. And trust me when I tell you, they're on our soil.
The evilest.
The evilest. And that is
on our soil.
I know. And that is what is making this good. It's making it impossible for the good to unite. And that's my message. The message is always, we need to unite the good so that we can actually defeat the evil.
But here's their strategy. What they do is they take all these different groups of people, and just like I said, like I'll look at a different group of people choosing to live a certain way, and I'll think, that's strange. Mm-hmm. I would never live like that. Mm-hmm. They take that little emotion inside of you of that's strange, and they fucking stoke the flame.
They weaponize
and try and make you think not only is that strange, but that's gross.
It's wrong,
and it's wrong. And fuck those people. Yeah, and they interject these little things in people's sexuality, or in people's skin color, or people's religion, or people's politics. Yep. A perfect example of it is interjecting the pedophilia into the LGBT community.
Yeah,
right?
and now look at what the LGBTQ community is doing.
They're trying to distance themselves from it.
Yeah, they're like, I don't even want to be associated with this anymore. Like, this is not what we are about. We don't want to freaking drag in front of 5-year-olds.
Yeah, and like
It's like, and that should be common sense.
And bro, like the gay people that I know and the gay people that I see on social media and stuff, none of them think that we should be sexualizing children.
No.
But what they did is they hopped on board. They interjected that into one community, right? And added that to their acronym. And now people that are on the outside of that community, people like us, is like, fuck the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, exactly.
If they want to sexualize kids, like I want to distance myself from them.
That's right.
But that's all propaganda because the majority of those people also don't feel that way.
No.
And that's why, like, do you follow Gays Against Groomers?
Absolutely. Yeah. The ones that got blasted off Twitter.
That thing fucking blew up overnight.
I know.
And it didn't blow up overnight on accident. It blew up overnight because the gay community is trying to fucking shine a spotlight on themselves and say, hey, us over here, we love children too.
Yeah.
We just, as adults, are choosing a different sexuality.
And dude, it's another example of that would be, you know, I maybe this is just me, but for the longest time, I always used to think that Republicans in general were not anti-gay, but like very much not accepting of the gay community. And I think, again, maybe it's just me, but I think that was probably a sentiment across the board for a lot of people for a long time. But a testament to what you're talking about is it's the idea of the Overton window, right?
I'm not familiar with Overton window.
So the Overton window is basically when politics shift so far to one side or the other, that window moves. And so, you know, people that were like super far left, all of a sudden now they're finding themselves closer to the middle. Or people that were super far right, all of a sudden are now finding themselves closer to the middle, right? It's the exact same thing because now you have a lot of LGBTQ community that predominantly were more liberal and more Democrat, right? But dude, I don't know if you've noticed.
Oh yeah, I've noticed.
There is a massive influx of LGBTQ community that are starting to come more to the conservative side.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with morality.
Yes.
It has everything to do with what's right and what's evil. What's good. Once again, to go back to my point, it's what's good and what's evil. These people are starting to realize, oh, yeah, okay, that's evil. But this Republican dude that shoots guns and may not agree with my gay lifestyle, that's not evil. That's just, like you said, it's opinion. And it's just difference. But that's no reason for us to hate each other. But this I can hate because this is making, like, sexualizing children. That's anyone with a normal functioning brain knows that is wrong and that is evil. It's like,
and bro, the fact that there's people that want to tiptoe around that question or that topic, you know, college professors, doctors, like that. Do you see the documentary, What is a Woman?
Dude,
like nobody.
The whole time I watched that, I'm not exaggerating. Ask my wife. My jaw was dropped. Like when they go in and talk to the one professor, I forget his name.
I'm feeling very attacked right now,
dude. It was the guy from Yale, or something like that, right? And he's like, I'm feeling attacked. I think you're being very aggressive. And Walsh is like,
I'm sitting here,
and he's like, well, that's a very loaded question. He's like, what do you? All I want to know is what is a woman? And he goes, well, it's just crazy, dude. And this guy is in charge of teaching the entire curriculum of teaching youth what gender is. And he can't identify what a woman is? Are you like...
Bro, the most fascinating part, and I've talked about this on the show before, for me, the biggest takeaway of that podcast was when he went to Africa.
Oh, dude.
And he talked to the Maasai tribes, and he's like, what's a woman? And he's like, a human with a vagina and breasts.
The part where he goes, can you be transgender? And or no, not.
Can you become a woman?
No. What's the one where he goes, oh, what if you're non-binary? He goes, what if you're non-binary? And then the translator asks the chief or whatever, and the chief just starts laughing.
Yeah.
And he's like,
what are you talking about?
And then he literally says, no, people that think like that have mental deficiency. Yeah. And that's like, all right, thank you.
Yeah, and bro,
clearing that up.
Our whole lives, like, what are we kind of taught about, like, indigenous people, like people that still live out in the woods and live out in the sticks, like, oh, they're stuck in the Stone Ages. Mm-hmm. Actually, motherfucker, those people are still connected to reality, and they're connected to Mother Nature, and they're connected to the earth. And bro, think about that. Like, they're actually leading a life that is more in tune with humanity than we are. And it's like, we're in the fucking concrete jungle and we're getting everything twisted and backwards. They're fucking hunting for their food, and they're living by traditional roles with their sexes. And guess what? They have a better understanding of reality.
For sure.
And it's like, it makes you think, maybe we need to get back to that.
Well, dude, and you know what? I had an interesting thought. Obviously this is an assumption, but I'm going to make an assumption about you. And that is, when you were a kid, you probably weren't the most obedient kid. You probably...
Have you been talking to Rita Anderson? That's my mother.
But you probably spent quite some time in detention rooms, and you probably spent some time outside of school.
Being suspended.
And you were probably what was considered a rebel, right? What's so interesting, dude, is that was me too, right? I spent most of my school career in a detention room. I got kicked out of school every single year of my career. And I was constantly pushing against authority, always. And what's so interesting to me is, for the longest time, you're told that that's a weakness. Yeah. You're told that you are never going to be able to be successful in life if you can't learn how to be more
obedient.
Well, not just obedient, but more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe it's obedient. I think it's more just like
willing to assimilate.
No, it's this. It's people that say you're hard to work with. You need to be easier to work with, because basically they want you to be more subservient.
Yeah.
And I was told, even in my career prior to becoming an entrepreneur myself, that, because dude, I'll tell you right now, I am not a good employee at all, because number one, I know how to do shit the right way. And number two, I don't like being told what to do. And so that's the truth. And I was told my entire life, that's a weakness. It's not going to make you successful in life. It's going to constantly be a black hole, blah, 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 blah. Bro, that is a superpower. And as I look at what's happening in the world now, as you look at all this other stuff, we're talking about issues that should be extremely logical to people. But the reason why you and I think that way is because of that rebellious attitude. Yeah. It's because we're not willing to accept something just because somebody tells us this is how it is.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me, because if you look at all the guys and all the women who have stood up in the last 2 years and really spoken out against this and been like, no, wait a second, this is ridiculous. Like, what are you guys doing? They're all the same kind of person.
Yep.
As far as that part of their life goes.
100% they are. Yeah.
They're not slaves to a system. They're not subservient. They are able to think for themselves and say, no, screw you. I'm going to go do what I want to do because I know that I can do it.
And I think that path for me personally, I was very rebellious and I hated authority when I was young. And then through the military, I kind of honed the ability to have my outlets.
Sure.
But also understand how to play the game, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And dude, as a soldier and as a police officer, dude, I excelled because it's about playing the game, right? Mm-hmm. Be strong where you need to be strong. Don't ruffle the feathers. And it's I think all that stuff is kind of good to learn how to do in your 20s and your 30s. But if you're 40 and 50 and 60 and you're still worried about ruffling feathers, bro, you need to fucking go take a long look in the mirror, because as you become older and you grow and you become more wise and that's our duty.
Yeah.
To now speak the truth and show the next generation what speaking truth looks like. And for me, it's funny you say you're a shitty, you'd be a terrible employee, right?
Terrible.
Because I was a great employee for a long time. Once you turn that page, there's no going back. Mm-mm. I could never work for another man again unless it was someone that I held the utmost respect for.
Yeah.
If I moved to Missouri and First Form offered me a position, okay, got it.
Yes.
And guess what? I'm going to slay and I'm going to do what the fuck you tell me, because I know you have my best interests in mind.
Because that's exactly what I was just going to say. I was going to say, your authority to me, I understand authority and I definitely respect authority when it deserves that respect.
When it respects you back.
Exactly. The difference between being subservient and being just understanding, I guess, when to respect authority, that's what it comes down to. And so it's not that I don't respect any authority. And listen, I do believe that we need structure and leadership. You know, you talk about all the, like, one of the things that drives me absolutely insane right now is all the people that are out there like, oh, let's take up arms and let's go do this and blah, blah, blah. First of all, you're not going to do anything. You're just talking behind a computer screen. You know nothing. Like, you're probably just like me, where the truth is none of us actually want to get into any kind of conflict. And then number two, you're not thinking about what comes after that.
Yeah.
Then what?
Well,
how do you run a country?
If you listen to my initial video that made me go viral, I literally said that you guys, that like the things that are starting to happen are going to cause conflict on American soil. And someone that's been through a substantial amount of conflict, watching men kill each other, trust me when I tell you, you don't want that here.
No, that's the last resort. We don't want a violent revolution. We want a cultural revolution. But part of that cultural revolution, I believe, is understanding, like we just said, this is why I was getting off on this topic, is because I think it comes down to understanding when to respect authority and what authority to respect. And then once you find that authority that you do respect, those are the guys that you want leading. Yeah. Those are the people that you want at the helm.
But the unfortunate truth of where we found ourselves in America is, what authority should you respect, right? Like, traditionally, police officers, respect police officers. Right. Traditionally, respect your parents. Traditionally, respect teachers. Yeah. And then also, like, if people are in positions of power, like the mayor or the governor, like, I should be able to look to those men and women and like have trust in them. Yeah. And again, trust doesn't mean we're on the same team and we agree everything. Trust to me means the things that you were telling me are what your truths are, right?
And so I say you're going to do what's best for people.
Like Bernie Sanders, for instance, right? Yep. I want nothing to do with that guy when it comes to his political beliefs. Yeah. But the one thing I will say about him, the things that he says are what he believes. Sure. And if that is, I think that is actually the most essential attribute of someone in politics. Because if you're telling people what you believe, dude, now we're on an even playing field. And now I know, okay, like, this person gets my vote, that person gets my vote. I support this campaign. I don't support that campaign. But now everything that people run off is smoke and mirrors and lies to get backdoor deals and fucking support and being controlled by their lobbyists and their special interest groups. So we don't really know what we're dealing with. And what we found is the people that are supposed to be leaders in our country are now all corrupt. The teachers are corrupt. The police, like, there's plenty of police officers that, and I love the support, the career, and I love law enforcement. But the truth is, there's a lot of people in that career that shouldn't be in there. Yeah. And typically, most of those people work their way to the command staff. Mm-hmm. And so you have your chiefs and your high-ranking people in all these agencies. And again, they are now no longer able to be trusted. So we have a whole generation of people that look at all of these different positions in society that have traditionally been respected, and it's like, well, fuck those people. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then that's where it starts to get weird.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's, again, it's because I think those people are allowing themselves to be mentally infiltrated and emotionally controlled by evil influence.
100%. And they might not be evil themselves.
They don't even realize it. And they don't realize it till it's too late. You know what I mean? And that's the other issue, is like, okay, well, then where do you draw the line with people that are being influenced by it? And it's tough, man. It's such a interesting balance act that I think, we've kind of had to go through these last couple of years. But I really think, going back to the whole, like, rebellious thing, I think having the ability to not only not respect authority because you notice and you realize that it's not worthy of your respect and it's not in a good place, and then being able to respect those that are, like someone like Andy, right? Like, I'm the exact same way. Like, that to me is like respectful authority. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But being able to do that, and then also being able to say, okay, but I'm also going to keep my head on a swivel. Like,
of course,
I'm going to look at everything, and I'm going to, it's funny because, dude, the whole last 2 years, people would always ask me, like, well, what is it that made you realize that everything was a lie? Or what did you read and what did you study that made you realize that everything wasn't what it seemed? And I'm like, read and study. bro, I just opened my eyes. I just looked so around me.
Because I get that same shit, right?
It's like,
people are like, how did you know?
Where are your sources?
How did you know?
Like, my sources are my eyeballs.
Isn't it awesome, though, now? The people that say, how do you know? How do you know? Well, look, motherfuckers, it's been 2 years, and everything that I was averse to, I was as a police officer, I was averse to arresting people for going to the park. Oh, you mean fresh air, exercise, and sunlight is actually what we should be doing? Like, it's common sense. And that's the thing. Open your eyes and apply common sense, and you're going to come to the conclusions that are correct, right?
Yeah.
And like, for me, man, the most strange thing about it is a lot of people's eyes were open, but a lot of people were afraid to speak up. Because, I mean, the people that fucking fired me, the individual human beings that fired me also said to me, Greg, we agree with everything that you said. What are we talking about?
It's the same thing.
We agree with everything that you said, but unfortunately,
we just can't do that, dude.
Unfortunately, since you spoke out against the governor, like, we don't have a leg to stand on. I'm like, you can speak out. The governor's just a man. And if I don't agree with him, I can say that. And then there was a very small percentage of cops too. There's like, it's unprofessional to speak out against your governor. It's like, actually, in my opinion, we're duty bound to speak out against people that are trampling on people's liberties. That's the whole fucking point of the profession. We have sworn to uphold an oath to defend our citizens.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, man, when you get pushed a little bit, a lot of people crumble. But to go to piggyback on your point, like, there's true evil, and then there's people that fall in line with evil because it's convenient and it's comfortable.
I was just going to say that.
And where do you draw that line is right, because there's a point where it's like, okay, you may not have been Adolf Hitler, but if you were in the guard tower in Auschwitz, okay, even if you don't hold that belief in your heart, your actions say otherwise.
You're still shooting someone, and
so off with your motherfucking head.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like, you're guilty by association. That's just the truth. If you're wearing a swastika and you're falling in line and you're not pushing against the evil, you're part of the evil. Period.
And so, yeah, and we have a lot of people that became part of the evil through no overt action necessarily, just because it was convenient.
Apathy.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I've said this too. I think the number one thing that is plaguing our society right now is apathy. People have gotten to the point where they are so manipulated to believe that being apathetic and blissfully unaware is the way to go, because they don't want to ruffle feathers or whatever else, that they're literally willing. It's like what I said just now, where people are like, what are your sources? My sources are my eyeballs. Why aren't you using your eyeballs? Because you literally are being told not to, and you're believing it. You're allowing the experts to be your eyeballs.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing I have ever experienced as a human being.
Bro.
It's like, dude, just walk out your front door and look at how the world is being run.
And go talk to your neighbor that's gay, or go talk to your neighbor that's a Democrat. And bro, here's the thing. I think these cocksuckers at the top, because it's worked for them, it hasn't worked perfectly, but it's worked pretty damn good, that they just continue to turn the dial up because they no longer have any respect for us and they have no fear of us.
Dude,
and a perfect example of that was the fucking president's speech on Tuesday, where he's fucking... They're shining these red lights on him, so it looks like he's in some inferno. And bro, I've given plenty of public speeches. When I'm giving a public speech, guess how I talk? Just like I'm talking right now.
Yeah.
We're just fucking sharing words.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if I'm sharing it with you or if I'm sharing it with 150 people.
Yeah.
I don't need to be like, making my fists and looking up in the sky and screaming and shit.
Dude.
And here's the thing, bro. This is their misstep, right? A lot of people are starting to realize, like, oh, there is something going on here.
Yeah, but here's the scary thing. And this is what this too. This is what I've said from the beginning. It's like, dude, so I was running an event that day, and I got done with the event, and I just jumped on Instagram in my truck for a little bit. And bro, I'm not going to lie. Like, when I saw the pictures of that, I literally thought I was looking at like a dumbass. Do you follow Dumbass Photoshop?
No.
Dude, it's the best thing. It's a great account. Shout out to them.
No, you're right.
I literally thought I was looking at a meme page.
I thought the same thing.
I was like,
not
oh, that's so
necessarily
funny.
A meme page, but I was like, oh, this is certainly an altered photo.
Or it was like a far right, like altered, something like that. But I was like, dude. And then I kept on scrolling and I saw him and I was like, oh my, like that's real.
And bro, like Joe Rogan posted it.
Yeah.
And it said underneath it said, imagine thinking this was a good idea.
Dude.
And bro, that's the perfect, because Joe Rogan, and again, if you support Joe Rogan, some people be like, bro, he's a blah, blah, blah. Joe Rogan is very, very calculated.
And middle ground.
Very
much.
And, bro, all this bullshit is moving all of those people.
That's what I'm talking about.
Further towards, I mean, you can say conservative, but I'll just call it common sense.
It's common sense, dude. And here's the thing too. I posted about this. I said, after that address, I said, look at find me a single tyrannical regime in the history of the world that didn't start out with, number one, coups or election tampering. Number two, mandates or unlawful laws based on bullcrap, right? Yeah. Three, I said, oh man, I'm gonna have to pull it out because I want to get it right. Hang on a second. I got to tell you right now.
Yeah, no, pull it up. But so I'll say my piece and then you can go back to that. Yeah. Like the thing that people are realizing, I think, is they're pushing too hard. And it's making people's antennas kind of be like, wait a minute. Because when he says, if you support Donald Trump and you're a MAGA Republican, you're the biggest threat to democracy and you are an extremist.
The foundation of our democracy.
Yeah, bro. And it's like, if I voted for Donald Trump and now you're telling me I'm a fucking extremist and I am a danger to our republic, bitch, my whole life has been supporting this republic.
Yeah.
And a lot of people see that for what it is, I would hope.
For sure. So this is what I said. I said coup and or election tampering, mass censorship, control of the chosen narrative using propaganda through major media channels, broken promises, constant gaslighting, zero transparency, raids on political opponents, and isolation or demonization of all political opposition, an eventual emergence of dark, evil optics and symbolism.
Yep.
And then at the bottom, I said, find me one tyrannical regime in the history of the world that didn't start out with all of those things. And this is why I brought that up, because when you said people are starting to realize, here's the problem, Greg. The problem is that historically, that's how it's happened with these regimes, is people started to realize way too late.
Way too fucking late.
They started to realize when the optics start coming out. When the optics start coming out, that's their hand.
Yeah.
Like, people need to understand this. When you start seeing actual evil optics, they're not holding anything back.
No, exactly.
And that's the scary thing,
They're throwing it in your fucking face.
That's the scary thing, because it's like, at that point, you have to assume that they think that they are, that it's over. Like, that they have enough people...
enough momentum, enough power
that they can just now start actually showing their true teeth.
And this is the truth, because everybody says like, well, our police and our military won't support that. Well, if you look at what's happened over the last 24 months, it was a very calculated attack on the strongest men and women inside of those professions, and they forced men like me out. I don't hold a badge and a gun and authority in my community anymore, and it's like. Good. Got that motherfucker out of there.
And the vaccines.
Yeah, through the vaccine.
You want to talk about the vaccines really quick for the military? My buddy, I have that flag right there with that round. That he is, I think I posted about it. I don't know how many tours he did, but he's a combat operator on Spectre, right? Uh-huh. This dude like is legit. He is the type of guy that you want up in the air in those gunships, right?
Yeah.
He left.
Yeah, of course.
And it's not just him, dude. So now you start thinking about, okay, so they're weeding out all the strong individuals in these places. Well, why? Well, because you can say what you want about how the police will never bend to this or whatever, but that changes when you put a gun to someone's wife's head.
Yeah. And that changed in 2020 when we threatened your paycheck.
Exactly.
You know?
When a police officer wakes up and finds out that his bank account is frozen until he goes out and arrests this dude who they say is a domestic terrorist now.
Which we are both on that list. Make no mistake.
The feds are in the trees.
That's
dude.
what I'm saying. Make no fucking mistake.
They're in the trees right now, dude. But seriously, like this is the scary thing is I know people don't realize that when those optics actually start coming out, it is not, that's the thing. It's not an accident. You know, you have like Dave Portnoy and even Joe Rogan talking about how, who thought this was a good decision. No, you don't understand. This is calculated.
Yeah.
That was very, very calculated.
Well, bro, how many cops did we see? And this was like a big part of what inspired me to stand up and say, a fucking enough already. How many cops did we see through the videos when guys like Ian Smith were being arrested?
Yeah.
Where they would walk in and they'd say, hey, I don't want to be doing this either, but I'm just doing my job. Okay. Bro, that is the fucking most
apathy.
Yeah. It's just disgusting though.
It's like, it's apathetic. It's
like, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror at night.
No.
And that's
because of who you are.
That's an important thing, that if you're in a position of power, and every police officer is to a certain extent in a position of power, and being disgusted with yourself when you look in the mirror, if that doesn't fucking change what your true north is, it's time to find a new fucking career. Like that is a fucking non-negotiable. But dude, and that's why when everybody says like, no, they won't turn against us, and well, we'll fucking see. But here's the other side of the coin, right? Because I always want to look for silver linings. Because remember, I'm not supposed to get mad for the whole month of September, and I'm not mad yet.
Damn it, dude! I made that bad.
No, here's the other side of the coin, though, is that the more compliant they make these forces, the weaker they are too.
It's true.
And it's like you saw those IRS videos going around.
Oh my
and
gosh,
it's like,
bro.
Hey,
I like my chances.
I like my chances. I'm really, really liking my chances.
Really liking my chances.
And so it's like, on one hand, we're like, we don't want fucking conflict. But the other side of that is human beings have been in conflict since the beginning of time. So don't think that it's an impossibility.
No.
Okay. Don't tell yourself that lie either. Because I get people saying that, dude. It's like, it's fucking ridiculous, dude. It's 2022. Like, we're not in medieval times. You're not in medieval times because you still have food in your fridge. Make no mistake about that.
Yeah.
As soon as your children haven't eaten for 3 days, the food in your neighbor's fridge is going to become very, very fucking appealing.
Yeah.
And that's just human fucking nature, dude.
And dude, the other thing too is, it's like, I don't know, maybe we don't want to get off on this topic, but you look at those optics of the Biden speech, and this is where you can call it a conspiracy or whatever, but it's like, bro, just because these leaders, these men and women aren't adorned in gold and wearing skulls on their crowns and freaking like holding a goblet and a throne doesn't mean
that this is not Game of Thrones.
This is not Game of Thrones. It doesn't mean that they are not evil and that there's not a possibility that they are still doing things like crazy rituals. And like, dude, it's just crazy to me that people think that because they're wearing suits and ties, all of a sudden now it can't be medieval. All of a sudden now there's no way that some of these conspiracies that are out there are happening with blood and all this other. It's just like, dude, what makes you think that's not possible?
Well, bro, here's the truth.
It's like,
people have been, World War II in the grand scheme of planet Earth is a blink of a fucking eye.
For sure.
A blink of an eye. We were putting people in concentration camps and mass executing them. Okay.
Which, by the way, is happening right now.
I was just going to say, and it's still fucking happening.
And no one's saying anything. As a matter of fact, we're supporting it.
So to think
that's
that
a whole other thing.
To think that because it's over there on that piece of dirt, motherfucker, over here, over there. Like, it's all the same.
And it's still evil. Evil influence is very real, and it still has hold of mankind. Like, that's still a thing. It's not going to go away. Evil is not going away, and it's not going to get less either. It's going to get worse, especially if anybody listening to this is coming from like a religious background, then you 100% believe that things have to get very, 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 very bad before they can ever get very good.
Yeah.
And that may be a hard pill to swallow or whatever, but like at the end of the day, it helps you to understand. And I've actually this is actually a realization I'm having right now, because I have people ask me all the time, well, if that's the case, if we know that everything's going to go to shit, then like why, what does that do for us? Well, dude, it makes you become aware. It creates an awareness that, oh, evil is actually real and these things could be possible, which makes it so that I'm not going to just discredit everything. And I think that's a big reason why, when you have people that are like, well, what are all these people on social media doing that are raising awareness? Bro, that awareness is 100% making people become more self-reliant, more proficient, more in a place where it's like, I don't have to be like a cynic, but I also need to understand to have a healthy level of, distrust in authority, distrust in or whatever. And it's like, those things are important right now, and I really
that's
think
why they're trying to stomp those out.
Exactly,
guys
dude.
like Mike Glover,
yes,
who teach nothing more than preparedness. Well, extremists. We got to tarnish his name, because what does preparedness do? It empowers people.
Exactly.
They don't want you empowered.
But
for the people that say, if it's going to get worse, then what's the point? I would say this: like, if you were diagnosed with cancer, would you start implementing different kinds of treatment? Or would you just say, well, he said it was terminal, so fuck it? Well, because this is the truth. Like, if you're on a downward trajectory with your health or with your economy or with your society, at what point does it hit rock bottom and we change the trajectory? The truth is, none of us know when that point is. That fucking point might be in November.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or that point might be in a decade, and it spirals into fucking like a living hell on earth.
Yeah.
And then everything in between. And so if you're not willing to fight to change that trajectory and get it going up, then you're all but ensuring that it continues to go down. Yeah. So, and I talk about this on the show all the time. I'm like, the things that serve you and serve your family and serve your community are going to help you in either scenario.
Yeah.
The world goes to shit. All right. The world gets better.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
And if you look at it like that, what that does is it eliminates fear, and it takes you from a fearful mindset, and it makes you understand, like, okay, this is the path that's in front of me, and it can go one of two ways. But regardless of what, because you can only control so much,
right?
And you can't give a ton of energy to the things that are outside of your control.
That's right.
Right. And so now we've arrived at a point emotionally and spiritually where it's like, okay, I understand we're facing evil. I understand it's going to continue to come after us. This is the work that I'm going to put in to try and combat it. And then the world will go where it goes. And I'm okay with that.
And I think that all changes too with perspective. Like, dude, if I said that I would have done everything that I'm doing now prior to having kids, I think I'd probably be lying to you. Like, I think one of the biggest reasons why I actually got loud about the things that I knew were right and decided to, I mean, dude, I literally thought I was burning my entire sales and marketing career to the ground when I started using social media to talk about the things I did, and that 100% is because of my little boy. It's because I had a little boy. It's because because the way I look at it is like, dude, the world can literally burn to hell. But like, I'll be damned if I don't do everything I possibly can to make sure that little boy has a good life.
Yeah, bro. I don't know if you saw the post of me holding my little girl by the river the other day.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what I said. I said, when I decided to stand up against tyranny, a lot of people told me, Greg, what are you doing? You have kids. And I said, exactly.
Yeah, like
exactly.
Dude, the last thing that I want is for my boy to suffer or have anything less than he should have. Like, dude, I always think about this as just like, if I was in the middle of the ocean and on a boat with my kids, and I knew for a fact that ship was sinking, like, there's nothing I can do, there's no radar, there's nothing, like, that ship is going down, I am going to do everything humanly possible to keep them out of the water for as long as humanly possible.
Yep.
Even to the point where that nose goes under and they're sitting on my head.
No, that's a good analogy, because it's like everything in your power to see success.
But there's so many people out there that, you know what they would do in that situation?
Fucking cling to a piece of wood.
No, dude, they would probably take them down. They would sit in a bedroom or something and just freaking ride it out.
Oh yeah.
They would be like, you know what, whatever, like, let's make it fast. And it's just like, dude, it makes me think of like even the Titanic, right? That movie Titanic. It's like, you can lock yourself in the stateroom at the very bottom and just drown to death, or you can freaking Jack and Rose that bitch to the top nose of that thing and ride it till it goes under.
All right, so two things on this that is kind of off topic, but did you see, I just saw a story come across my feed where a boat sunk and the fucking dude was in an air bubble in the cabin for 60 hours.
What?
And rescue divers fucking saved him.
No way.
Badass story.
That is incredible.
And another story, another deep sea story that people need to fucking go watch on Netflix is Last Breath.
Oh.
And it's about salvage divers that are hundreds of feet below the surface working on the oil rigs. And I don't want to say anything about it. Do not Google it. Do not read the story.
I'll go watch it.
Because it takes some crazy turns that you don't want to know about going in. But it's fucking fascinating.
Okay, I'll go watch it.
So, dude, this is the direction of this podcast. And I think it's important, right, to not get fixated on the shit that we're facing as a society, but shine a spotlight on it, be open about it, and also understand that, like, the evil that we're facing is real. And it's apparent and it's here. And that's why I always like to discuss the things that I believe are plaguing society. But then the other side of it is,
what do we do?
How do we win?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I always joke and say I wish that I came up with personal excellence as the ultimate rebellion.
Me too.
Because that should be
genius.
That should be on
It should be our mantra. It should be America's mantra.
It should be on my shirts.
Yeah.
Not Andy's shirts.
Yeah.
But the truth is that's it, right?
Yeah.
So the direction of the show is we talk about the problems, but then we fucking jump into the solutions.
Let's do it.
And that's the reason why I wanted to do this show with you, because you were successful in like the corporate world or the business world. And then you stepped outside of that to become successful on your own 2 feet. And there's a lot of fucking people that want to step outside of whatever it is they're doing, especially if they're military or cops. Because I hear a lot of those guys say, I don't have anything else I can do. That's a lie you're telling yourself.
That's for sure a lie.
And so what was the path, your professional path, before you decided to jump ship and do life your own way, and then building your fucking business and your brand as an entrepreneur after that?
Yeah. So, dude, I was in the direct sales, door-to-door sales space for over a decade. So, I came back from Nicaragua. I was in Nicaragua for a little over 2 years. I came back. I went to school. And while I was in school, I got recruited to sell satellite Dish Network door to door. Dish Network and DirecTV at the time, because they were both like we were doing it together. Anyway, so for about 4 years, I sold door to door every summer. So we'd go out it's summer sales. If anybody's familiar with summer sales, it's really like big in Utah, but it's getting bigger nationwide now. But anyway, I would go out from April or May until like August or September, and I would knock doors every single day, and I would sell people satellite TV. And what most people don't know is that it's actually an extremely lucrative, insane opportunity of a job for door to door. Like, dude, I was making no less than $60,000 a summer.
Okay.
In 4 months.
Yeah.
That's like a family of four's salary in 2009.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's a low end. Like, there's guys that are making $300,000 in 4 months. On my high end, I was making over $100,000 every single month, or every single summer. And then I would literally do anything I wanted for the rest of the year. So I worked 4 months out of the year, and then I went to school full time and partied. Literally, like I threw ragers, like college age ragers, for 4 years straight. And we had, dude, like, you could go watch videos. I'll show you some a little bit later, but we would pack warehouses with like 4,000 kids, and we would give them little spray gun, little like squirt guns, and we'd fill them with neon paint. And we did something called the paint fight. And I mean, just crazy stuff. We broke the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest silly string fight here in Rexburg, Idaho. To give you perspective of that, Rexburg is tiny.
Yeah.
We packed
They don't even have a Starbucks.
We packed 3,500 kids into a warehouse, and we had 5,000 cans of silly string. I was wearing a gas mask because there was so much silly string.
Dang,
it was
dude.
wild.
That's hilarious.
But anyway, so I did summer sales, and then I did events for about 4 or 5 years. Then eventually I was like, okay, I want to try and manage a team. So remember when I told you I'm a terrible employee? I'm also a terrible manager, because I want things done a certain way. And the people that are going to vibe with me, my employees, they're the ones that are going to go the extra mile. They're the ones that aren't going to make excuses. They're the ones that are going to say, how many revisions do we need to make? And that's fine. They're the ones that are going to be able to make those revisions at freaking 1 a.m. in the morning, because we're about to hit a deadline and we have to get it done, right? But then there's all those other people that are like, no, I want my 9 to 5. Like, this is too hard, blah, blah, blah. I am not going to do well with you, and you are not going to do well with me. And so, being a manager, I learned that about myself. I was like, I am not a good manager. Like, I'm a soldier. I just like to freaking sell. And what I realized through that was the flip side of the door-to-door industry is this. While it's an incredible experience and an incredible opportunity for anybody that's in their 20s, because dude, I was 21 making $100,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Like, are you kidding me? Which back then $100,000 was
a lot more.
Isn't that crazy?
Now. Oh, I know.
Anyway, so it's also, they call it the golden handcuffs, because dude, when you're 20 something years old and you're making that much money, bro, there's nowhere you can go after that.
It's funny because the parallel to my industries.
Yeah.
When you were a E5 in special operations, the contracting world, they'd be like, hey, if you leave the regiment and come to triple canopy, we'll pay you $30,000 a month.
Yeah.
And it's like, so a bunch of dudes jumped ship, and we went and did that. And I got stuck in that I shouldn't say I got stuck in it, but you kind of do, just like you said, golden handcuffs, because it's like, all right, I'm 25, I make $250K a year.
Yeah.
And I have 4 months off a year. Where am I going to ever be able to get this lifestyle again?
And that's exactly how it is with door to door, because it's not just the sales, dude. It's also, I traveled the world. I went to Mexico 2 times a year, every single year while I was selling. I went to like 6 different countries. I was skydiving. I've done so much because of the door-to-door industry that most people my age would think of that being like a dream. Like, I'll never do those things. And so it gets to a place where you're like, okay, I have all these amazing perks and I'm making all this money, but like, dude, life sucks. Knocking doors is not fun. It sucks. And
are you dealing with, I mean, I've never done anything even remotely close to that, but I can imagine it because I've been on the other end.
Yeah.
You're sitting there with your kids eating dinner. It's,
yeah.
Hey, I see you got some ants in your driveway. Yeah, and I'd like to spray your driveway. And it's like, bro, I'm not in the fucking mood. But here's the thing. I'm always nice initially. And then once they get a little, like, you can see, like, they don't want to get off your porch.
Yes.
And then it's like, bro, I'm fucking eating dinner with my kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll say this. I wouldn't want to knock your door, but also I would want to knock your door, because I'm really good at selling guys like you. Because I know who you are. I know how you are. I know that I'm going to shake your hand like I'm jabbing a sword. I know that I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to knock your door and say, dude, I know you're eating, and I know the last person you want to see is me right now. But here's the deal. Your TV's super expensive. I can save you $40. Give me 5 minutes and a drink, and I promise you I will save you a ridiculous amount of money. And if I don't, I'll kick myself out of your house.
Yeah.
2 seconds, dude.
No, and I mean, I guess that's like anything in life. There's an art form to it.
Yeah, but like, my point is, door to door sucks not just because of that aspect, but because you have to basically talk yourself into the fact that you're going to go spend 10 hours in the hot sun. Because, dude, you're knocking in Arizona, Missouri, like all day long, knocking doors, 10, 12 hours a day for 100+ days straight. It is not fun, and it is extremely hard. And then on top of that, you're moving every single, so like for single guys, it's great.
Yeah.
But dude, if you're married,
you're putting down roots somewhere.
So the reason why they call it golden handcuffs is because a lot of these guys will get in it when they're younger, and then they'll never leave. They'll get to the point where they're making $500 to $1 million a year, but they have to move their family every single year for multiple months out of the year. They can never have a mailbox, right? They can never have this like consistency in life. And dude, that is insane on marriages, and it's crazy. And then the other thing too is it creates this this lifestyle for young kids where it's like they have so much money they don't know what to do with it, and so they get into really bad things. Right,
for sure.
And then of course you have to force yourself to knock doors all day, so now you have the abuse of like Adderall and drugs, and there's a very dark side to that industry as well. And so what I realized, this is what I'm getting at, what I realized after I managed was I hate knocking doors. I definitely don't want to manage a team. And so I either have to figure out a way to stay in this industry and not have to knock doors every single day, but be able to continue to keep this lifestyle, or I need to bounce and figure something else out. So what I did was I realized that I really like teaching. I really like training. And not only was I one of the best sales rep out there, and I'm not saying that to be cocky. I literally like, it's just,
it's data.
Dude, I literally sold like almost every person I talked to. Like I would go out and I would knock they called me prime time because I wouldn't knock 10, 12 hours a day. I'd knock 4 or 5 and I would outsell everybody in the company, but like one, just because I didn't put the hours in. Right. But, it was crazy, but it got to a point where I was like, okay, but I can teach that. I was like, that's a rare skill, right? I'm like, I can actually teach people how to be me. And
there you go. Yeah.
And so what I did was I went to I was really good friends with the owners at that point. And I went to one of the owners and I said, Jared, look, I don't want to knock doors, dude. I'm burnt. But here's the thing. I'm worth much more than 300 accounts a year for you. I can teach 300 of your reps how to sell 100 accounts a piece. And he said, well, that's cool, but like, what do you want? And I was like, give me a corporate position to build the training program and run it. And he said, dude, believe me when I tell you, like, I understand how good you are. Like, everybody knows how good you are. But fact is that position doesn't exist. Like, there's no there's corporate structure in door-to-door, but like, there was no real like training director or like training program. It's just, they give you a CD with some role plays and a freaking thing and go do your thing, right?
Well, it's time to start thinking outside of the box, bro.
Exactly. So he was like, but I'll tell you what, you go out and prove it, and it won't be a matter of if, it's going to be a matter of how do we make it happen. And I was like, all right, challenge accepted. So I went out that summer and I traveled the country and I trained reps and leaders, and I did correlation meetings, which is basically like their big rah-rah meeting every day before they go out. And I kept track of all of it. I kept a binder. I still have the binder to this day. I wrote down all the names, all the teams, everything. And I kept track of their metrics 30 days prior to me getting there and 30 days after I left, including the days that I was there. And, dude, what's crazy is this summer, like I said, I had never known like poverty. Like, I'd never known what it was like to not have money as a kid that age, because I was constantly making so much money, right? Mm-hmm. I come from a place where we didn't have much. Like, my family didn't have a whole lot, but like at that point in my life,
you'd figured the formula
out.
Dude.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm never going to not have a lot of money, right? I overdrafted my bank account 7 times that year. In the door-to-door industry, and someone like me, that was just unheard of. But the reason why is because I was no longer producing for myself. I was sacrificing.
When you're making good money, it's obviously direct related to commission.
Oh, it's all commission.
Okay.
It's all commission based. That's it. That's another reason why it's the golden handcuffs, right? You have to keep going because otherwise you don't make any money. So basically I said, okay, I'm going to sacrifice my personal sales to teach these guys how to sell and to go to these different offices. And I would talk the regional managers into giving me like a couple grand or something like that. But dude, it wasn't enough to live off of. But anyway, my point is that sacrifice actually ended up paying off a ton, because finally towards the end of the summer, sure enough, I got a call and Jared was like, all right, man, we don't know what you're doing, but like, this is insane. Come in. And so I did. And that was it, man. He's like, create a pitch deck, pitch the whole corporate office, all the VPs and everything, and we'll see what we can do. And then, so from that point on, I built their training systems, the entire sales training platform. I built the whole thing from the ground up, and I helped them implement it into the company. And then eventually I took over the entire training department. I had my own team. Then eventually I became VP of training. This is all within like 2 years. And then as I got all of that up and running, I was not only teaching the reps, but I was teaching leadership training. And I basically took over all the training of the entire company. And it got to a point where it was kind of on autopilot. So everybody had these systems and it was like, dude, everything's good. Like, there wasn't really, I got to a point where I felt very like unfulfilled. Yeah. Like, I was happy. I was making a ton of money. We were having a great life, but like, I felt there's something missing, right? Like, I got to do something new. And I talked about this the other day, actually. That's always been kind of my like trigger to know when it is in life that I need to pivot.
Yeah.
Like, when I feel like something is missing or something's incomplete, I know for a fact that it means, okay, you either need to pivot in what you're doing right now, or you need to bounce and do something completely different.
And bro, like, I've drastically changed what I've done.
Because you felt that.
A handful of times.
Yeah.
Like, I was a ranger for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And then I went and contracted for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Then I became a U.S. Marshal.
Yeah.
Which people think that's the pinnacle, right?
Yeah.
And after 4 to 5 years, it's like, you know what? This isn't working for me anymore. And now it's the same thing with it. But that's your life.
That's what it's about. And, and that's what I tell people. I'm like, if there's one thing I can tell you about business or about life in general, it's like the number one thing that can help you so much is if you can learn to become aware of that. If you can learn, everybody talks about, I'm in a rut. No, you're not in a rut. You're just not feeling fulfilled. Yeah. And so what is it you need to do to get back to fulfillment? Because money and experiences and all these things, like they fade. Fulfillment is what you should be that you should be chasing fulfillment at all times, because fulfillment is what actually keeps you going. But anyway, so I got to a point where I basically was like, okay, I got to do something different. So at the time, the company was rebranding. And I had always been very active on social media. That's kind of where I built my name and my platform and how I created influence, right? Which we'll get to that. But they noticed that, and they were like, hey, what do you know about social media? What do you know about marketing? And I was like, I don't know. I know how to create, I have my own brand or whatever, right? And so they actually put me in charge of all the marketing. So now I was VP of training and VP of marketing. And I ran all the marketing, all the social media, all the events, everything, and all the training for about 2 more years. And so then it got to a point where the owner of the company was building out another branch, which was a medical product, a painless or a drug-free, pain-free or pain-reducing patch or something, right? And he was like, I want you to head this up. So I had a marketing team of about 6 people. And he was like, I want you to split your team. I want you to send them to Caliber. That's the company I worked for. I want you to send them over there to continue to do what you were doing. And I want you to take over this and just build this brand out and have your guys come over and everything. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So that's part of the reason why we moved up here. Anyway, so ran that for a while. And honestly, man, it was just, I was marketing to freaking 60-year-olds about pain. You can't use social media. It was very much out of my wheelhouse. Yeah. I was a round peg in a square hole. And so I could do so much, right? But it got to a point where I just felt very unfulfilled. And that's kind of around the exact same time that everything started hitting the fan with the riots and all this other stuff. And
got it.
My mind was not on my career anymore because it had shifted so much to the issues that were going on because I was a dad. And because
how old was your son at the time?
He was 1, or okay. He was barely 1. And I was just like, dude, and this is what I was saying before when I said that if it hadn't been for my son, I don't think my focus would have shifted like that. Yeah. I would have stayed focused on that no matter what. But because I had a son, I was so focused on the issues, what was going on in the world, and really looking at things and saying hey, what does the future look like with this or whatever. And so anyway, that's when I started getting loud on social media. Got it. And dude, at the time I was like, I'm going to burn everything that I built to the ground. People are going to think I'm crazy. I'm going to lose all my followers. Cause I had probably 20,000 followers. I'd been on dropping bombs and big podcasts. And so I spoke on stages. People knew who I was, in the space. And I was like, everybody's going to think I'm crazy. And my wife was like, you're an idiot. And I was like, I don't care. I don't care. And so I started speaking up and I started talking about how literally when the riots started, I was like, this is the beginning of how they're going to try and divide us by race, by sex, by everything. And this is the beginning of the next 2 years of manipulation and control until the point where we're at right now. I even said there was going to be vaccine passports. And people are like, you're insane. I'm like, no, wait till you have to show something to eat at a restaurant. Yeah, right, dude, it's never going to happen. Okay. So
that never happened.
Yeah, it never happened, right? So I basically started doing that, and then
you can't be in Canada right now so
for everybody that wants to know, my wife and I are unvaccinated. She's Canadian though, so she has dual citizenship, so she can be in Canada because she's a citizen. They can't deny her entry, right? But since January, it used to be that if you were unvaccinated, you could still be in the country if you were with a Canadian citizen. Now it's no foreign nationals are allowed in the country if you're unvaccinated. Jesus. So just to give you guys perspective, my wife and my 2 kids are now in Canada and have been for about 2 weeks and will be for another 3 weeks. And I have to be here alone because I'm not allowed to be in that country because I decided not to put an experimental drug in my blood vein.
It's fucking ridiculous, dude.
Yeah. So let's not get on that. But anyway.
Yeah, we're not mad.
Yeah, we're not mad. We're happy. So anyway, long story short, dude, I started getting louder about the freaking riots. I started raising awareness. I started talking about that stuff. And then I started kind of inching into the conspiracy theories, but not on purpose, just because I knew, I've always been a closet conspiracy theorist, basically since 9/11. I'm from New York. When all that went down, that kind of woke me up, right? That was my woke up or whatever. And so I started talking about some of these things, and all of a sudden I get DM after DM after DM after DM of what? When did that happen? Or how did that happen? Or what is that about? And I was like, are you kidding me? And I realized how many people had no clue about any of these things, about 9/11, about things like Northwoods, about things like, we're going to get into some crazy stuff, but like Pizzagate, any of these things that are out there that no one knew about. And so one night I was like, I'm going to make like a full length story about like I did the Catholic Church and everything that happened with the Catholic Church at first, and how nobody wanted to believe that was happening with the clergy, with the little boys and everything. And that's because everybody has their line, right? But once that happened, like once it was actually out in the open, all those people that didn't want to believe it were forced over that line. So that was the first highlight I created, right? And then it was like, dude, can you make a highlight about Pizzagate? Can you make a highlight about this? And so I started creating these highlights on my Instagram, and I'm a metalhead. So I would put like metal to it. I would put like freaking Rob Zombie and like a bunch of other stuff. And I love movies. And so I started making these like little mini films, and it got to a point, dude, where my followers were actually having Wendt date night. Like on Friday night, they would sit with their spouse and like wait for the next highlight to hit, and they would watch it like a movie. Anyway, so that's kind of how created the viral, right? That's kind of what created the viral following. And as that following started growing, I was like, okay, I don't want to be the guy that's just creating conspiracy content. Like, I don't want to be that guy. Yeah. I want to influence people. I want to actually make a difference and like use my voice. That's what I've been trying to build on social media for so long, right? So I decided to start using the following to raise money for some of the businesses that were going down during lockdowns.
Got it.
So all these businesses that were literally closing their doors because they couldn't fill capacity or whatever, we raised several $100,000 for businesses all across the country.
Wow.
We brought one completely back to life. He was going to close his doors, and I won't tell the story because it's too long, but long story short, as we did all that, as we raised money for that, OUR, veteran families, things like that, like I just started getting really involved, and I realized that I had a force behind me, people that were willing to throw money and resources at fellow Americans. And then it got to a point where I was like, you know what? Like, all of these people want to be loud about what they're doing, and they want to represent whatever it is that we've built here in this, like, my small Instagram community. And dude, I was sitting on a computer screen one day, and I was like, let's create a way for them to do that. And I created the Patriot tee.
Fuck yeah, dude.
The green Patriot tee. It was so simple. It literally, I saw the font and I was like, that's a sick font. And like, I know something about design because I'm in marketing, right? So I was like, this is a sick t-shirt. I think people will like this. And I always tell the story and say it the same way. At the time, I was like, it'd be cool if we could get like 50 of these people to wear this, right? Yeah. And dude, I launched it, and we did like 370 something in 2 days.
Whoa.
Just through my Instagram. And I was like,
there's something to this.
Because the reason why this all worked out is because my buddy here in town owns a fulfillment company. So he does shipping, processing, orders, printing, all of it.
Got it.
And so I was like, we can totally fulfill this too. And he was actually there when we created it. He was sitting there when I created the t-shirt, and he actually helped me with it. So we released the green Patriot tee, and I was like, yeah, it'd be cool if we get like 50 people there. So we sold a bunch of them, 370 something, like 2 days. And then
you were still fully employed. Like, yeah, I was still everything fully was going with good at work
with that medical thing. It was going good. Like I was just grinding. I was doing my thing. Like I said, I felt unfulfilled. Really, like I was telling myself, okay, I'll just burn past this, or like I'll figure it out or whatever. But I was basically just doing this on the side. All of this influence stuff was totally on the side at this point. And I was like, okay, so all these people started wearing the t-shirt. And again, I knew something about marketing. And so I was like, okay, so now that they're getting this t-shirt from me, I have to figure out a way to not only create awareness of the t-shirt and of the movement. It wasn't about the t-shirt. It was just about what everybody was doing. And I was like, not only do we need to do that, but I need to figure out why it is really that they're wearing this. Like, why are they actually wearing this, right? And what does that represent? And there was no, like, I had no desire to create a brand at the time. That was not the plan. It was just like, I'll just sell these t-shirts on the side and continue to raise money and build influence, right? That's what it was. But what I started to realize was all of these people that were buying the t-shirt wanted to be loud, but a lot of them, for whatever reason, weren't. They refused to be. They didn't want to be. They were scared of being canceled. They didn't want their family to hate them, blah, 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 right? And at the time, the truth is, this was, probably, I don't know, August, September 2020. So the truth is, most of my following was like predominantly Trumpers, what you would call Trumpers, right? Because it was right before the election. Like, that's just how it was. That's just the truth. And, but regardless, when all of these amazing people were throwing money and resources at these businesses that I was bringing awareness to, guess what questions they never asked? Even though this is what the media would say all of these Trumpers were doing, not once did any person ever ask me, is this business owner black? Is he white? Does he believe in BLM? Does he wear a mask? Does he support Democrats? Is he Republican? Blah, blah. None of those questions were ever asked. They just simply saw an American business owner losing his livelihood.
And wanted to help. Because that's what Americans do. That's what patriotism is. Mm-hmm. And when that happened, I was like, that's the message. My message. And this is when I realized, Greg, that this was not just me feeling like I needed to get loud on social media. This is when I felt like this is a mission. Like, as cliche and as ridiculous as it sounds, maybe some people think that. Like, I was called to do what I'm doing. Bro, anyone that thinks that that's ridiculous hasn't been called to do shit before.
So I felt that, and I was like, that's the mission. I was like, my mission is going to be spreading a message of non-partisan, non-exclusive, true patriotism. And I'm not a vet. I've never served. I have a lot of like family who have. There's history in my family and stuff, but like, and I have friends, but that's being a patriot and being a vet. Like, a lot of times that can be the same person. Yeah.
But it's not mutually exclusive to fucking veterans.
Well, and what's so funny is the reason I always say that is because every time I talk to my friends who are veterans, or anytime I talk to any strangers, even at like booths that are veterans, they always say the same thing. You don't have to serve. You are serving, right?
Yeah.
But what's funny is the people that say the opposite of that, guess who they are?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Because I get that all the time. It's like, oh, you're not a vet, but you're selling American clothing. It's like, anyway, we're going to get off on the
So I have to go fight in some foreign fucking bullshit war in order to love my own country?
Well, dude, my answer is always the same. It's, yeah, you better believe I'm fighting, but the truth is I'm fighting this fight so that I don't have to go fight a physical fight, because I'm not in the military because I don't want to go to war.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just being honest, man. Like, I'm not. Would I go if I was called? Yeah, absolutely. But do I want to? No, I don't want to leave my kids. Yeah. I want to be a father, and I want to be a husband, and I don't want to have to leave my kids to go to war.
What a pussy.
Yeah, like, screw you, dude. Take your Punisher mask and take a hike. Like,
well, and here's the thing. Anybody that is like down on you for that, tell me about your time in combat. I'd really love to hear, because the men and women that have spent a substantial amount of time in combat, I hear that and I'm like, yeah, you're damn right you don't want to go. Well, and I know that like who I am today, a lot of that was forged in combat, and I wouldn't take it back now. But there's a lot of guys that didn't come back either.
Yeah.
And it's not always fucking a fairy tale and this great story. There's so many people that are fucked up physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually from the war that, guess what? That's not the right path for everyone.
Well, and dude, that's another reason, not the only reason, but that's another reason why I do what I do. Because, yeah, I'm not a veteran, but dude, the amount of respect, the amount of gratitude that I feel for people like you, for veterans, for people that are doing what I don't want to do so that I can do what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, man. Like, that's, people, anybody that's worked with me at a booth or whatever, like, most of the time, if not all the time, when a veteran comes up to the booth and I'm talking to him, I'll give them a hat. I'm just like, here's a hat. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. The least I can do is give you a hat, because what you did makes it possible for me to sell the hat in the first place and live a life that I'm living. Anyway, so it got to a point where I realized that was my like mission. I was like, okay, I want to spread a message of nonpartisan, non-exclusive patriotism, and I want to rally people around that, because I truly believe that at one point, Patriot was getting dragged through the mud by one side, and it was getting hijacked on the other, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. And like becoming this politicized thing. And dude, patriotism, or patriot, the word in general, has just always been such like a noble thing to me. Like in my growing up, if you were a patriot, I was like, dude, that's that's the staple of like America, of being any country really, right? If you're a patriot of your country, like,
yeah, you love and support your country.
like, are you kidding me, dude? That's like, go watch Patriot. Go watch the movie Patriot. And it's like, that guy, holy shit, he's a badass.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be like him, right? Like, dude, that guy. Anyway, it's just crazy. But it got to a point where I was like, I'm sick and tired of this. And so I started talking more about it, and then people started buying the t-shirt and everything. And then one day I was like, okay, well, like, if I want to actually create something out of this, I got to make the people that are buying the t-shirt feel like they're a part of something. So I created Patriot Friday out of nowhere. I was just like, you know what? Let's just get people to tag me. So I was like, if you bought a t-shirt, tag me on Friday, hashtag Patriot Friday. And then the first day, no one did it. No one. There was 0 tags. But people were sending me pictures, and they were sending me like videos. And so what I did was I took those pictures, I took those videos, and I posted them, and I hashtag Patriot Friday, and I acted like they tagged me. And I did that for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, people are like, oh, this is kind of cool. And so then I started getting tags, and they started rolling in, and Patriot Friday started becoming a thing. And then I was like, well, we want to make Patriot Friday like fun, and I want to make it kind of cool, like how I have for the highlights. So that's when I started doing the little clips in the beginning on Friday where it says, are you ready? And like a countdown. And then I would do like a war movie clip, or, you know, I've used things from the movie Patriot or whatever. And then I would put metal to it. So now all of a sudden people are like, as soon as they see that hit my story and they see the countdown, they're like, oh, it's Patriot Friday. Like, it's on, right?
Dude, people love being part of something.
Yes.
And that's not, I'm not even saying that with a negative connotation. I'm saying that with a positive connotation.
No,
being part of a team, being part of a tribe, sharing something with other like-minded people. We're drawn to that.
You don't feel alone.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that started going off, is Patriot Friday just became a thing, and people were posting about it every single time. I made a video about this, and I talk about it. You could even share it if you want at some point so people have more clarity. But then all of a sudden everybody was like, well, dude, make a hat. And I was like, all right, can we make a hat, dude? And like, I asked my buddy, I was like, can we make a hat? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So I made the Patriot hat, the green. Am I wearing it right now?
You're wearing a black Patriot hat.
I'm wearing a black one.
Yep.
The green and black OD Patriot hat was the first one that I made. And then it was wintertime, so they were like, we'll make a beanie. And I was like, all right. So I made a beanie with an American flag. And that's all we had. We had the t-shirt, the hat, and the American flag. And at the time, I was on Etsy. We'd built a shop on Etsy, just a super simple shop on Etsy.
Are you still on Etsy too?
No, I'm getting there. So we were on Etsy for about a month and a half. And dude, in that month and a half, things exploded. We did about 37 grand. And it was insane. Like, dude, because again, it was not a plan. I was just like, holy crap, dude, this is crazy. And it just exploded. And then one night I get home and I go to log into the Etsy and it's shut down.
Oh, fuck.
You've been shut down for violating community standards. And I was like, what? And I mean, I'd been censored, so I wasn't like a stranger to censorship or whatever.
No, but censorship on Facebook and Instagram is one thing.
So this was violent, dangerous organizations or something like that, or harm, or I can't remember what it was. But literally, bro, I need to emphasize this. The only thing that was on that store at that time, I'm not exaggerating, it was the green Patriot tee, the beanie with an American flag, and the green Patriot hat. That was it. But if you go on Etsy right now, guess what you could find in the BLM section? Guess what you could find?
Yeah.
You want to talk about violence? Like, anyway, so I was
so fuck Etsy.
So bro, I was like, you gotta be kidding. And dude, I don't know. I don't like to like totally demonize organizations, because truth be told, it could have been just some random troll that reported it and then their system shut it down or whatever, because the truth is after a while they reinstated it.
Okay.
But what happened was, it was just funny because I was like, okay, that's crazy. I guess that was a fun run. Because I was like, what do I do? Like, and again, that wasn't my thing. I wasn't like all in on it. Right. So I got on my thing and I was like, guys, I'm sorry, but you know, Etsy's been shut down. I'll try to figure something out and I'll let you know or whatever. And then I got DMs after DMs of, dude, build another store tonight. Like, do it now. And I was like, I don't know how to build another e-commerce store. Like, what are you talking? I don't have a web developer. And my buddy was like, dude, we can just do it through Shopify. So just build a Shopify. I was like, okay, do you know how to do that? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, let's do it. So 20 minutes later, we had a Shopify up. And
with 3 products.
And in the next 4 or 5 days, we did $29,000 more. And
so everybody's seeing you. Andy talks about this a lot. Like
they saw it. Yeah.
When people see people getting fucked.
Yeah. They were like, no, that's not happening.
Hold my beer.
And dude, the amount of tags that I had of people that screenshotted the Etsy thing and were like, they shut him down, blah, blah. It just freaking exploded, bro. And it was insane. It was the coolest thing.
So I'll take that back. Not fuck Etsy. Thank you, Etsy.
Yeah. No, I'm dead serious. I was Etsy, you are fantastic. Thank you for that. So it changed everything. And then anyway, so it just kept progressing and people were like, make a hoodie, make a this, make a that, make a this. And I just kept on building it. And then in my career, it got to a place where I was like, I don't feel good about this. I'm not really adding a whole lot of value. Like it was on me and them. It wasn't just them. It was definitely on me as well.
Well, no, you were very clear about that. You're like,
yeah,
I'm killing it. Everything's going well, but the passion is missing.
It wasn't there. And without the passion, I'm nothing.
Yeah.
And so I had sat down with them a few times and prior to this, they had told me, they didn't cancel me, but they told me kind of what you were saying. They were like, look, this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar like medical company at one point. You're the CMO. I was the CMO at the point. And they're like, you can't be speaking about the things you are if you're going to be the face of the marketing of this massive company. Like right now you're fine, but as we start to grow, you're just going to have to dial things back a little bit. We'd had that conversation at least twice.
And it's like, on one hand, let's just be reasonable.
Yeah.
They're developing a product. They don't give a fuck what your political views are. No. But on the other side of that coin is like, if I can't be authentic to who I am, then this just isn't working out anymore.
And it's exactly like you were talking about how you said your chiefs were like, hey, look, we agree with you or whatever, but like and that's exactly how it was. They were like, we agree with you. We live in Idaho. Obviously we have the same beliefs you do.
Yeah.
But the fact is we can't be loud about them.
Idaho is just a bunch of racist conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, exactly. It's terrible here. Don't come. And anyway, so they were like, but we can't be loud about that. Like we can't alienate blah, 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 blah. And I was like, all right, whatever. So those are two conversations. So then we finally had this third one. I had felt for a while that there was something missing. And I kind of had I had a feeling. I'm really good about reading people. And I had a feeling that the guy that was currently my superior was he was thinking about replacing me.
Yeah.
And it was to the point where it was like, maybe in the next couple months he'll find somebody and then we'll have a talk or whatever. So I sat him down and I was like, look, man,
you're both feeling it.
We're both feeling it. And I feel like you're looking for something else. And so if you are, just cut it right now. Like just cut it loose. Don't drag me along for the next month or whatever while you're trying to find a replacement. Just cut it loose because number one, we're both feeling it. Number two, you and I both know that eventually you're going to fire me anyway because of what my beliefs are. And he was like, yeah, you're right. And I was like, all right, see ya.
That's actually pretty cool because like most people, if you came to them with that statement,
they would lie.
They would start backpedaling.
Yeah.
Whoa, hold on. You know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, bro, you're right.
Yeah.
Let's go our separate ways. Yep. And guess what? Probably worked out for the better.
It definitely did. So here's the thing too. I had been talking about doing my own thing for years, bro. And so I left and I will never forget this day, dude. I went straight from there. I grabbed my stuff. I left and my wife was shopping and I met her at the grocery store. And I remember so vividly walking down the aisle and just feeling peace. And that's how I knew like 100%
that this, right move.
Not only that it was the right move, but that this was a calling.
Yeah.
Because if this was, I just kept on thinking to myself, if this wasn't right, I would be so insanely stressed out right now. Mm-hmm. I would be thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How's this going to work out? Like, what am I going to do for my family? I had not a single stress in my body.
Bro, isn't that the craziest shit?
It is.
Because I tell cops this all the time because obviously because of my path, a huge percentage of my following are police officers. Mm-hmm. And it's like, guys, if you have aspirations to step outside of the profession and do something else, you don't realize the amount of weight that gets lifted off of you.
Yeah.
Once you make that choice.
That's right.
It's the opposite. You think you're going to be fucking like bogged down and stressed. And it's like,
no.
And I didn't know where this was going to go with me either. But immediately I was in the drive-through of Starbucks with my wife when I got the phone call from my department. Mm-hmm. And she looked at me and she goes, I know what you're going to tell them. I said, I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And it was like peace.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it really is. And I just remember thinking, like, my wife even said, she's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, like, I'm actually like,
you're like, I'm unemployed.
I'm really okay. And now I'm going to go to work. And I was like, I was like, now we're going to do something with this, because I was like, this is going to be a brand. Yeah. That's when I knew it was going to be a brand. It wasn't a brand in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to be a brand. And not only is it going to be a brand, but it's going to be a movement. And like, now I'm going to take all the skills that I've gained over a decade with sales, marketing, business, everything else, and I'm actually going to build this thing from the ground up. And dude, you know, we're not massive, but we've technically been a business for about a year. And we've done, just in that year, we've done a little over $1 million in sales. We're about 30,000 orders. We have a Patriot tee in 48 countries.
Fuck, bro.
And it's just crazy, dude, because it's, you know, it's, again, it sounds cliche, but like I say this all the time, this is not just like a clothing brand. Like, this is 100% a movement. We have 500 ambassadors nationwide, people that are constantly wearing the gear, sharing it, showing up at events. Like right now, as we speak, there's a 8-day event in the state fair going on right now. And I have 2 ambassadors. One of them drove from California and one of them drove from Utah simply to be a part of this, to sweat for 10 hours in a day and sell merch at a booth.
Yeah. Because
that's not what they're doing. They're not selling merch. They're having conversations with people, and they're changing this definition that has been so like manipulated. Something that I truly believe, like people say, like, why is it patriotism that you're so honed in on? And I've said this, you've heard my Real AF podcast probably with Andy. Yep. I talked about this. I talked about, 9/11, 9/12, right? I believe, and again, I know why it happened, and I'll have people say, well, it was manipulated. Who cares? I don't care how we got there.
How did the country react?
The point is we got there, and the way the country reacted is, I believe that those days and the days following, we saw the spirit of true patriotism.
Yeah.
And the power that it has to, this is taking things full circle, unite the good. The good in that moment, it didn't matter if you were standing next to somebody who believed that, the Democrats were better than the Republicans. It didn't matter what color of a person you were standing next to. Like, all that mattered was, we have a common enemy. In other words, we know who evil is now, and we all need to band together to stand against it, or we're going to lose. That feeling, that was true unity. And the thing is, just like
how old were you on 9/11?
So I was, now you're going to make me do math. 2001, I'm 35. Okay. So what is that?
Listeners can do the math.
Yeah, you do the math. I don't know. I was in like 5th grade or something, but I just remember.
You remember feeling it?
I just remember feeling it. And I also, and I'm also like reflecting back on it. As this have all been going on, I'm starting to reflect back on everything, right? Because I was in upstate New York. Like, I know I had friends and family that literally were in the towers, right?
Yeah,
like,
fuck.
So it's just like, I know what that was feeling, what that felt like. And it's like, just like we noticed that, guess who else noticed that? Our enemies noticed that.
Yeah.
They saw the unity that day. They saw what happened in the weeks to come with the American people. They saw what happens when people rally around true patriotism, which, by the way, the definition you may think it is, I believe true patriotism is, you love your country, you love the people there, you want it to grow and thrive and be free, and you're willing to defend all of those things regardless of where you stand on your political spectrum, race, whatever. That's a patriot, right? And they know that. And trust me when I tell you, we've already said this, they're on our soil. And that is why it's so heavily attacked right now. So that's the conversation that we're having every time we meet somebody, is like, wearing that on your chest, you may think we're just selling a t-shirt or a hat, but when somebody wears the word patriot on their chest like that, and they're wearing our Patriot logo because they know what it stands for, it's a conversation starter. But not only that, it shows that strength in the American people is still there. And it's like, it's just crazy, dude, because, looking back and seeing how this community has grown and seeing how the brand has evolved, it's 100% because that is the majority of people. Everybody wants to think that we are the minority.
Yeah.
We are not the minority. The majority of people believe in those same things, which, again, going back to like the president's speech, that's why, I don't know if you noticed this, but I had a lot of people reach out that have been pretty silent about things, and a lot of posts that were like, okay, you know what? I can't be silent anymore. And again, it's like, sure, it's the 11th hour, but like, that woke a lot of people up to, where we actually stand as a country.
Yep.
And so, it's like you and I talked about, dude. That's been kind of my path and my journey. But I'll tell you one thing is, I never would have done any of those things, I don't feel like, if I hadn't been a father and if I hadn't had more concern for my kids' future and once again, riding that freaking ship until it sinks, than just like focusing on me and mine. And I think that along with building something that is awesome. Like I'm not trying to be cocky. Like, this is a freaking awesome thing, man. It's a freaking movement, and it's awesome to see these people come together and become. We have ambassadors that will come up to me all the time and say, "Dude, I was the quiet person. Like, I would never talk about anything, not even just politics, like just nothing in general." And now they're creating content online and they're getting out and they're talking, they're getting involved in their communities, and like they're
That's
becoming
important, man.
Dude, and the craziest thing too, this is such a cool thing. I've told Andy this multiple times, but the crossover that's happened with official Patriot Gear and First Form, almost every single one of my ambassadors are like First Form now.
Yeah.
Like all of them. They're doing 75 hard. They're using the supplements. Some of them are Legionnaires.
Bro, it's all like,
it's just the synergy.
Real sees real.
Yeah.
And when real sees real, inevitably they're going to build alliances and the networks are going to cross.
For sure.
And it's the same thing with Vortex. Like I was introduced to Vortex through First Form, and I went to the Vortex headquarters and I felt like I was walking around the First Form headquarters because same value, same energy, taking care of each other, looking out for each other. And it's like, dude, when you step away from your TV and all the people that are fucking naysayers and negative Nancys and know everything's doomsday, there's a lot of good Americans doing good shit right now.
A lot.
And we're finding each other.
Yeah, man.
And it's powerful.
That's the coolest part. That's what I was going to get at. The coolest part is, it's what you and I were talking about before we went on this, when we committed the unpardonable sin of talking before you get on the podcast, right? Yeah. But legitimately, like, dude, meeting you, meeting Ian Smith, meeting Andy, all the people that I've met in the last, 2 years, and the contacts and the networks that I have now, it's like, that is not possible if you are simply just doing business, or if you're simply just like, I've tried to put it in words to myself, because it's like, it's so crazy to me that I'm in these circles now, but it makes sense, because it's like, all of us are, like you said, we're doing something that benefits people. We're doing good.
Yeah.
And we're building good things, and we're an example of what America really is, and like the opportunity that exists. And that's why all of us just find each other.
Yep.
And it's crazy, dude. But like,
and I can tell you from experience, like, once you step outside of, because it doesn't matter what industry you're in, if it's law enforcement, military, a lot of people are stuck in the must be nice mentality.
Yeah.
Right. And, oh, you could never do this, or you're crazy. Mm-hmm. And then when they see you do it, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of people from those professions asking me, they're like, you know what, this is actually a good question to ask you, because I get this question.
I was just going to say, what you should do is, fire your questions the way that you have.
I get this question often, and people are like, I'm sick of being a cop, or I'm sick of being in the military. They tell themselves that lie. I don't have any other skills, but I want to try something new. Mm-hmm. What do you think I should do? And it's like, with your path, I tell people often, I think if you have the ability to maintain your current position while you build a launching platform, mm-hmm. that's a smart thing to do. You don't have to burn the boats like I did necessarily. But what do you tell people that feel that, like you said, they're no longer passionate, they want to do something new, but they're being controlled through the fears of their mortgage, the fears of putting food on the table?
Yeah. So I mean, this is the first thing I would say. The reason why, looking back, the reason why I had so much peace that day when I was walking in the grocery store with my wife after I had left my career of, it had been like 12 years at that point. The reason I had so much peace was not only because I felt like I'm answering a call and I knew that that was the right thing to do, but it's also because I knew I could back it up.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the truth, man. I knew for a fact that I had the skills and the abilities to back everything up. I knew that if my back, my back was now against the wall. And I knew for a fact that it was actually going to be a superpower for me. And that's something I've realized too, is when your back is against the wall, you think that would make your life harder. It makes it way easier, because now there's no options.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, I got to figure it out. And if you are the type of person that can figure things out, you will. So the answer is this. If you're once again, that's the answer. If you are the type of person that can figure things out and you believe in yourself enough to, have the abilities and the strengths to like find yourself off the wall, then you'll be fine.
Yes.
If you don't, then I would say, because there is the flip side. There are other people that are like, well, I don't really feel like I would have that, right? Number one, that's a lie you're telling yourself. But the truth is you have to figure that out for yourself. No one's going to be able to change that. So until you figure that out, I would say do whatever it is that you want to do, but do it kind of do it on the side. Like build something on the side and work at that slowly, baby steps, consistency. And then once you open that door, then you can close another. Don't close the other door completely until you've opened the other one. If you're the person that doesn't feel like you can actually pull yourself off the wall, if you're against it.
Yeah.
That's that side. But if you are the person that knows that you can back it up and that you will find a way to make it work,
fucking jump through that door.
Go.
Yeah.
Because the biggest regret I now have in my life
not doing it earlier
is not doing it earlier.
Yep.
Every single time.
That's what everyone says about jujitsu.
Which I got to get into, by the way, with you. We'll do it. But
and then you'll tell me, man, I wish I started this earlier.
I know, bro.
But this is what I tell people too, in regards to that, is like, as a police officer in Seattle, dealing with homeless people all day, every day.
Yeah.
I've yet to come across the guy that's like, fuck, bro, I got laid off 6 months ago and I just couldn't find a job and I couldn't pay my bills and I got evicted and now here I am. That man does not exist.
Yeah.
Every single person that is homeless on the streets is because they have completely fucking given their life to substance abuse or succumb to mental illness that a lot of times is related to substance abuse.
Yeah.
Like, we live in fucking America. Mm-hmm. And if you want to win,
you'll find a way.
You can find a fucking way.
Yep.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you are telling yourself a lie. And not every fucking business venture turns into the next greatest thing, right? I think this statistically, it's like, what's the percentage of businesses that last 5 years? It's fucking small, dude. Yeah. And then the next 5 years is even exponentially smaller, right?
But that has to do with the person. So this will answer. I did a Q&A the other day, and this was actually a good question somebody asked, and this will be perfect for this. Someone asked me, what does it take, in your opinion, to be a successful entrepreneur? Like, really, like, what is it that actually takes to be a successful entrepreneur or business owner or whatever? And I think it's two things. I think it's willpower, for one. And I mean like sheer willpower. Like, nothing that comes against me is going to stop me from doing what I know I need to do and want to do. That willpower needs to be completely unbreakable. But then along with that, you need to have resiliency. You need to be resilient to the point where you can get kicked in the face so many times, but it never makes you feel like, screw it, and then you just kind of like become this hermit. And a lot of people in the world don't have that kind of resiliency.
And it's hard.
And it's really hard. And so, like, I think what you need to have is you need to have the willpower to do it and the resiliency to keep doing it. And those are the people, that's the small percentage you're talking about that's actually going to experience success as a business owner. Because, dude, this is funny. I was talking to Andy about it the other day. I was like, the amount of things that happen to me on a daily basis that set me back or that like hurt the business, it's never ending. It's never ending. But somehow, and not somehow, I know how. And I was talking to my wife about it. It's literally the ability that I've built up to be able to say, okay, that sucks. I can't control what happened, but what I can do is this, and this, and one of those things is going to work. And if none of those things work, then I'll just freaking throw it out and keep going on this, and eventually things will find itself. It'll find a way to work out.
Well, bro, that's exactly The Obstacle is the Way, the book that I listened to yesterday that we talked about. Mm-hmm. He talks about this. He goes like, dude, any type of sales or corporate job or really anything, like if you look at just data, you're going to have bad fucking years. And if you allow the negative things that you face as a business to be like, oh, fuck, it's like, why are you sad about it? Every single business in existence has went through these same problems. Yeah. So instead of looking at it as a bad thing, you have to look at it as like, Oh, okay. This is an opportunity to solve a problem. That's all it is.
It's problem solving. That's exactly what it is. And it's the ability to see an issue, to be faced with a challenge, pivot and move. And I'll give you a real life example, because I'm sure, people always talk about, oh, this is what you can do. But I'll give you an actual real life example that I am currently experiencing when it comes to this, so that people have an idea of what I go through as a business owner, or any business owner goes through. So, Tommy Vext. Mm-hmm. So Tommy's a good friend of mine. And we've connected over the last couple of years too, and like he's become a huge fan of the brand, and he's been I don't pay him a dime, and he wears the Patriot tee every single day. He loves it, dude. And he loves Patriot Gear, and so he's constantly promoting it and everything. And last year I went on tour with him for 3 shows, and we did 3 shows with him. And then this year he presented me the opportunity to sponsor the entire tour, and I was like, so we're talking 28 shows, 32 states, in like a month, right? Just absolutely insane. I was going to go on the tour bus. We had everything planned out. So what I'm getting at is I agreed to it. We were going to sponsor that entire tour, and it probably cost me, if I were to put a real number on it, it probably cost me $65,000, mm-hmm. which by the way, guys, like, if you want to know what running a multi-million-dollar business actually looks like in America, it is very different than what you think it is, right? I'm a year in, and we're still metaphorically eating peanut butter jelly sandwiches, because that's what you have to do, right? Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, I have a great lifestyle. We have everything we need, and we always will, but it's not everything.
Which is what wealth is.
Exactly.
Having what you need, not necessarily what you
patient,
want.
Right?
Yeah.
So like we're building, but every dime we make goes back into marketing and inventory. Every single dime, because that's the only way you can build a business. And anyway, so that was a hit. So we found out, I'm not exaggerating, guys, the day before I was supposed to fly out to meet Tommy in California for the very first show, that, by the way, not only had I put $65,000 into inventory and the cost of the show and everything else, but also I had been planning and strategically putting things together where I had ambassadors in every state ready to come help at the booth. And I had ordered all the materials and everything for probably 2 or 3 months, which, by the way, took my focus off of the online store, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm not creating tons of drops. Now I'm not creating tons of revenue that way. I'm just putting all of my time and energy into this opportunity, because what better opportunity to create a 2023 clientele and actually get that face-to-face interaction with real customers and create that brand awareness than to go 32 states in a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like, this is a dream come true. This will be incredible. And I went all in on it. And the day before I was flying out, Tommy called me, and they postponed the tour because he had to get vocal surgery. His guitarist broke his wrist, and his drummer quit.
Ooh.
So that whole thing literally went up in smoke. And just to give you guys an idea of how real this was, all of the gear that I ordered, like, we're talking thousands of pieces of apparel, were literally, they just got to California to the freaking loading dock. like they had just delivered them. And then I get this call. And we had, like, even to the point where my wife was planning on taking the kids up, and it's like, it was just crazy, dude.
Yeah, I wasn't going to come here because of it, remember?
Exactly.
Because I was like, hey, bro, I'll be in your area this time. Are you available?
And I turned down a bunch of events to speak at. I turned down podcasts. I literally put everything on this, and for this year, right? And if that had happened to anyone else, not anyone else, but like most people, right? If that had happened to 99% of people in this world, it would have been like, oh my gosh, what do I do? That's like, what do we do? How are we going to make that money back? What am I going to do? Like, it would have just been panic, right? But because of the fact that I have that willpower, and because of the resiliency that I've built up, I was literally able to sit down and say, man, that really sucks. And we lost a shit ton of money. And now I have to figure out how to make it back. And so I immediately started thinking about what I could do. And in the next 2 days, I scheduled a 6-day event in Reno. I scheduled an 8-day event here in Idaho. And I have another event that's happening in 3 days. And we will probably make maybe a third of all of that back, right? Mm-hmm. But then guess what we're going to do? We're going to keep doing drops, and we're going to keep doing this, and we're going to keep doing this, and we're going to keep growing, because it's going to be fine.
Keep the momentum moving.
The momentum will keep, as long as I don't take my foot off the gas, It doesn't matter how many freaking speed bumps we hit, we are going to get where we're going.
Well, and this is a jiu-jitsu analogy, and you'll understand this soon when you start training, right?
Yeah.
But dude, the path to getting good at jiu-jitsu very, very often feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yep.
And if that 1 step backward makes you say, oh, fuck, dude, this just isn't working for me. And it does. Some people do. They throw the towel in because they're like, dude, I can't get better. Or I thought I was getting good, but now I feel like I suck again. And it's like, and that's why I love jiu-jitsu so much, because it's a metaphor for fucking everything else in life, dude. Yeah. Guess what else is 2 steps forward, 1 step back? Your fucking marriage.
Everything.
Your business.
Yeah.
Your relationship with your friends.
Yep.
Like everything.
Yep.
There is no trajectory that is just this going straight up, right? No. And once you understand that that's just part of the human experience, all right, now it's not intimidating.
No.
Now it's just an understanding.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And so that's just an example of a real life experience in my current business where I've experienced exactly what I'm telling you guys. Like, if you want to be successful, you have to have that ability to just get absolutely disjawed and be able to stand up and say, all right, well, what do we do next?
Yeah.
And then freaking make it happen. And, you know, that's a very, I think it's a very rare quality for people. And that's why you're talking about that low percentage of businesses that actually succeed, because.
Yeah. And I can tell you, because I didn't jump into like entrepreneurship or being a business owner because I got fired. Like, I opened my gym in 2015 and that was just like you said, it's something I do on the side.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of ups and downs where I just couldn't grow.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating. And one thing that I found is I actually started to lose my passion for jiu-jitsu because I was like, man, I'm putting so much energy into this and I'm not getting anything back out.
Yeah.
And dude, we were in the red for years. But the thing is, once I learned that, you know what, it's not just me showing up and teaching moves. It's me creating a culture.
Yep.
And it's me creating a movement. Bro, as we speak, we're expanding by 3,000 square feet.
Dude, that's awesome.
The pad's getting
Congratulations.
poured. The pad's getting poured this week.
Incredible.
And it's like, what I have found, and I would assume most people that start to find success in business would agree, is once you find the formula that works, now the growth starts to become exponential. Yep. Me going from 25 members to 50 members took years.
Yep.
Me going from 50 members to 75 members, fucking like half that time.
Yep.
Going from 75 members to 100 members, another half that time.
Yep.
And now, I mean, we can.
And now you'll go to 5,000 members, and it'll seem like a blink of the eye. Yeah.
You know, and it's very interesting that you sell merchandise, I teach jiu-jitsu, but we came to the same conclusion. To make this work, it's about culture.
100%.
And once you what you find is once you make something about culture, is not only is it more attractive, but it's attractive to the right people.
And the reason why is because I think a lot of people miss this point about, you know, when you talk about culture, when you talk about community, building tribes, things like that, you are creating an identity when you build your brand. When you're starting a brand, you're building an identity. Okay. And that identity currently is only yours. And so the key to building a true community or tribe is figuring out how to make that identity become a collective identity, become something that other people adopt.
Yes.
Because they believe in it just as much as you do. But the truth is, a lot of the time we try to build a culture around only what we believe, or only about what we want. And that's not how you do it. It's always based on the people that are part of that brand. They have to believe in it just as much as you do. And that collective identity eventually becomes a way of life. It becomes what they represent day in and day out. And that is what's so cool. And going back to what we were talking about with like influence and meeting cool people and stuff, like, dude, that's what we all have in common. Think about it.
Yeah.
One of the number one things that all of us have in common that are now connected is we are creating collective identities based on things that are so important right now that people adopt and become a complete representation of it every single day. And that's why all of us find each other, because we are connected by the people that we connect.
Yep.
And so, you know, that is what it takes to actually build a movement. Because now when you have all these people that have this collective identity, they not only have a collective identity, now they have a collective goal.
Yeah.
Now they have a collective mission. And that's a movement.
You know, when I first met Emily, she was already sponsored by First. She's been with First Form since like
forever. She's like one of the
inception,
first.
right?
Yeah.
And then I got picked up by the company, and she goes, "Hey, welcome to First Form." Mm-hmm. And she goes, I mean, I don't remember verbatim, but it was along the lines of, just know that this has nothing to do with supplements.
Yeah. I
was like, oh, and that was a powerful fucking thing, because it really opened my eyes to what's happening.
And it's funny that you say that, because now every time somebody goes on a podcast with Andy, I'll reach out and DM them and I'll say, welcome to the family with a PH.
Yep.
And it's nothing about supplements.
Exactly.
And I always tell them the same thing. I'm like, dude, you being a part of this organization, like, things are going to change in every way.
Yep.
And dude, it's so true. Like I literally, everything has changed since I became a part of First Form. And dude, we didn't even become a part of First Form, really. We just went on the podcast and they were like, here's some free supplements.
Yeah.
And
but hey, we got the wall lockers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, totally.
Which made me fucking tear up.
I guess that's true.
Made me tear
dude,
up,
I bawled too. What I mean by we didn't become a part of it is we didn't get hired.
No, I know.
You know what I mean?
In my wall locker was a picture of me and my wife on our first date.
Dude,
our first fucking date.
Dude, they had
what?
in my locker, they had peanut M&Ms and a CD of Eric Clapton, because Kate deep dove into my highlights and saw that when I road trip, I like to listen to classic rock and I eat M&Ms.
Bro,
it was the most. They had gardening tools for Maddie.
Yep. They know
dog toys for Samson.
They know how to make you feel valued.
100%.
And bro, you make someone feel valued, they will fucking spill their blood for you.
It's the truth, man. And that's exactly what happened after that. I've told Andy this so many times. After I left, and I told you this too, I was like, I need to look like I deserve this now. And I need to feel like I deserve it. And so, dude, the physical transformation, the mental transformation, the emotional transformation that I've experienced just from that day on, not only being friends with Andy and like being associated with First Form though, but it's life-changing, it's life-altering. And that is the key to building a brand that lasts.
Yep. And I'll say this too, and not to go off on too far of a tangent, but when you connect with the right people, with the right energy, with the right movements, what it does is it starts to open up other opportunities to you.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And so because the people at First Form I have relationships with, and now the 75 Hard thing, my boy's like, hey, do you want to do 75 Hard with me? He's an 18-year-old kid.
That's awesome.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So we just finished. He completed it. He's an absolute savage, right? Dude. So now it's affecting my own circle of people. But additionally, like, dude, I was at the airport and I forgot my book. And I was like, fuck, dude, I forgot my book. Damn it. Like, well, I'm not going to fail. So let's go to Hudson News and just pick something up real quick.
Yep.
I picked up Emotional Intelligence. And bro, that fucking book changed the trajectory of my life, because it taught me how to handle a lot of my issues that are rooted in fucking violence and killing and anger and things that like a lot of veterans face. And I was like, dude, instead of looking at that as like a negative side of who I am, now I can actually use those experiences and that side of who I am to change my life in a positive trajectory.
Totally. And
in a matter of weeks, I feel myself like, dude, I'm a happier person. I have better control over my emotions. I'm not feeling road rage.
Yeah.
And just like I told you, I'm going to go the whole month of September without getting angry at someone. And then when I totally detached from all of it, this all started as a cascading effect from holding my phone in front of my face.
And making one decision.
Making one single decision. That one single decision connected me with these other people that now these other things start to happen as a result. And here I am learning to become a much better version of myself because of this network that I've built from a single choice.
That's right.
And it's fascinating, bro.
It is. It's really crazy. I mean, even just think about this, dude. Like you and I connected at Attilas, right? Prior to that, I think we connected online or whatever. But then since Attilas, it's been almost a year.
Yeah.
And we've been friends online. And now you're at my house doing a podcast.
It's nuts, bro.
It's crazy, but that's how the world works.
And this is the other thing I'll tell people about these relationships that I've made with people. over the course of this year, we've only shared space a couple times with most of them.
Yeah.
But the energy, like I would entrust you with my family.
Yeah.
Like
same.
If I said, hey bro, my wife and daughters are down in Rexburg
Can they stay with
this, do you got them? Or, hey, dude, they broke down up the street, like whatever. These relationships, even though a lot of them may have been forged online, people see and feel the energy and they're real.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's like, bro, you build a big enough network. Now you have a fucking army and now you're unstoppable.
Yep.
And that's a real thing that people are missing.
It really is. It really is. And I think it's because they discount the fact that one decision can actually create a ripple effect where you affect millions of lives.
Yeah.
Because people are like, well, who am I? Like, I'm just this one person. How can I do this? Because, even people that are like, dude, I have 200 followers on Instagram right now. Like, how can I ever do what you're doing? And it's like, bro, we all started at zero.
That's exactly right.
And not only that, like, think about this, right? I always tell people that if you're listening to this right now and you don't have a massive following on social media, first of all, I want to answer.
You're lucky.
Well, yeah, seriously. I want to answer one question though. You asked me, what would you say to somebody who's like, they don't feel like they have the skills or whatever, or they're afraid to jump. Aside from the things I already said, the power of social media right now, I mean, the censorship sucks and you have to figure out a way to get around that. But the power of social media as far as connecting people and as far as giving you the ability to show people who you are and become the leader that you're meant to be, it's like, guys, that is the key. And so if you are wondering, what do I do with my current business, or how do I start a business, or how do I get good and proficient at social media? Mm-hmm. And more than that, just freaking turn your phone around and start talking. Because even if you have 200 followers, right? Let's say you get an average of 10 views a story. I think we often consider those views as these like digital things, like not people. But it's like, no, bro.
It's a human being.
You have 10 human beings that are purposely going to your story and watching you speak and listening to you and like interacting with you. Now take it to the point where, what if somebody has 100 views per story? Okay, well, 100 views may not be a ton, but let me ask you this question. What if you were to put 100 people in a room and you were standing on a stage?
That's powerful.
A room of 100 people, it's huge.
That's right.
That's what you're actually doing. Like, stop thinking of this as being this like digital platform and start understanding what it actually is. Dude, I used to get freaking 40,000 views. Now we get like 10 on a good day, but still think about that. 10,000 people are watching my story every day. You're filling an arena.
Yeah.
Like, business summits don't fill that. They have 3,500 people. 10,000 people, even if it's like 8,000 because 2,000 are just skipping through, whatever. The point is, nowadays we have the ability to fill an arena, fill a digital arena with people who are listening and learning from us. So whether you have 200 people sitting in a room or 2,000 people, affect two of them.
And then here's the other side of that. It's not because some people want to make something that's viral. Won't happen.
No,
you can't say I'm going, because I had some people ask me that. I was like, did you make that video on purpose to go viral? I said, I don't think a human being, I said, if I was smart enough to do that, good for me.
Yeah.
But I don't have the capacity to do that. If you look at my Instagram prior to that, I shared my thoughts on lots of stuff very often.
Yeah.
And if you're authentic and you put out messages that you believe are based in who you are as a person and you're speaking your truth, eventually you're going to connect to the right people, man.
That's the key. I always say baby steps.
Yeah.
Right? If you're just constantly doing something, eventually it will pay off. It's actually interesting because even prior to meeting Andy and going to First Form and stuff, I've always been very involved in like fitness. Like I've always worked out. I've always worked out 6 days a week. I would constantly post stuff online about it. I would post my gym videos. Even during the quarantine, when the quarantine seemed like it was a real thing for like a week.
Yeah.
I even started this thing where it was like, win your quarantine. And I was working out in my freaking boys' room with body weight workouts.
Yep.
And I was getting 20 people online to do it with me every single day and hashtag win your quarantine. Like I was doing all of these things, right? And then all of a sudden, the universe says, this is the energy he's putting out. Let's give it back.
Let's give it back.
And now all of a sudden I'm freaking sponsored by First Form, and like,
yeah, you have over 100,000 on your Instagram
dude,
now.
it's insane. But it's like, that's the
$1 million in sale, all of it. And none of it's by accident.
No, none of it. And it's all because of one decision.
Fuck yeah. All right. Well, you did a watch check and we're at 2 hours and 15 minutes and I have a 13 and a half hour drive.
Yeah.
So, and I also can tell you're the type of dude, we could probably do 5 hours.
Oh, dude, we could.
Like, I enjoy kicking it with you.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
But I think this is a good place to wrap it up for now.
Yep.
And I have no doubts that we'll get together again.
Yeah.
But let people know where to find you. And then also, if you have any closing thoughts.
Cool. Yeah. So my Instagram's my biggest one. I'm not really active on any other social media platform right now. So just Iwendtster. It's IWENDTSTER. You got to type in the full thing because your boy's shadow banned to hell.
I'll put it in the show notes below.
Don't go to the backup or one of the 16 fake accounts out there offering you crypto. That's my social media. And then the company the company Instagram is The Official Patriot Gear. And then our website, of course, officialpatriotgear.com. And yeah, I mean, check us out. You know, if what we talked about today resonates, if my movement resonates, grab some gear, because believe it or not, wearing a t-shirt actually does change things. You'll have conversations and it's, you know, help us spread this movement and kind of get close to where we need America to get back to, you know? And I'll just leave everybody with this. We've talked about a lot of stuff, but I think probably one of the most valuable things I could say is everyone that's listening to this, if you're holding back from doing something, whether it's starting a business, jumping from something else, you know, whatever it is, I guarantee you it's because you're telling yourself that someone's going to say this or you're going to experience this or whatever. And the truth is, the most important thing you can do in life is stop caring what people think. Like, as cliche as it sounds, it's the truth. The minute you stop caring about what other people think about what you're doing or where you are in life is the minute that you're actually going to get where you want to go and be who you want to be, because it doesn't matter, dude. And the people that love you, the people that respect you, the people that want to see you win, they're going to come along, and you're going to lose friends, but you're going to make new ones that are going to be 15,000 times better.
Fuck yeah.
Because they're in your corner.
Yep.
And that's what matters. Your corner is what matters. And you're never going to find your corner unless you find yourself, and yourself is exactly what you fear everybody is going to think. So just stop caring. And just freaking be yourself and put it out there and, yeah, find your corner.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, man.